Things that were never yours to hold have been on your back, holding grudges in silence, words that hurt a lot and didn't go away. You keep hearing regrets in your head like broken songs. Yes, you wake up tired, but not in the body. It doesn't matter how much sleep you get. This video isn't just noise to help you fall asleep. It looks like a mirror. It might help you understand why peace seems so far away and how to finally bring it home for the first time in a long time. Buddhism does not provide quick solutions. It tells the truth. It's freeing all the time, whether it's quiet or rough. Today, you will learn the lessons that can clean up your past, loosen up the emotional knots in your chest, and give you the strength to let go, not just in theory, but in real life. This is for the part of you that's had enough, the part of you that's ready to stop being upset about things that don't exist anymore and end your battle with ghosts that only exist in your mind. Come with me. What you're about to hear might not only help you sleep, but it might also change the way you wake up the next day. Let's start. If that beginning felt like a quiet punch to the chest, that's good. That means something is awake inside. It's not always necessary to fix things that hurt. Some things need to be let go of, but they need to be seen first before they can be set free. Not with a verdict, not because of shame, just seen for what they really are. And it all starts with the habit of feeding the fire, which most people do without realizing it. It starts out small. A broken heart. It was a lie. A mean word said by accident. A time that didn't seem fair. Yet, the mind doesn't let it go. Instead, it makes a chair, pours tea, and gives it a name. That's how pain turns into identity. Not just pain that is felt, but pain that is worn. Like an old jacket you love, but doesn't keep you warm, but you keep wearing it because it makes you feel good. Since the story turned into who you are at some point, it stopped being something that happened. Clinging is what kills people, not pain. If you cling, a moment can turn into a life sentence. When you cling to something, it turns into a wound that won't heal. The worst part is that it feels more real the more it hurts. Everything is more clear when it feels more real. To keep you safe, the brain wraps around the wound and makes it the center of who you are. It says, "This is who I am now." When that happens, the fire is inside, hungry. Buddhism says that holding on to pain is like grabbing a hot coal and saying it's the fire's fault. But no one tells you that the coal can make you feel better. That being the victim, not being loved, or being angry shapes who you are in a strange way and makes you feel stable. Something to hold on to when things don't go as planned in life. So, people keep the fire going. With tales, why they think that way. With thoughts like, they need to see how badly they hurt me, or, if I let this go, it means it didn't matter. But the fire doesn't care about right and wrong. The fire only needs more wood. The story takes root each time it is told. It makes the pain worse. You tell a friend. In the shower, you remember it. It makes you mad in your head while you're moving. It follows you into new situations, and you don't understand why you keep getting hurt. It just changed shape. You didn't heal. But deep down, the person stayed the same. The hurt one. One who was misled. The one who is mad. The person you can't depend on. Life turns into a loop, when that identity is used to filter every new moment. It's hard to deal with because it doesn't always feel bad. In fact, it feels strong sometimes. Anger that is right. Good pain. Being a victim who wants everyone to treat them with extra care. But Buddhism gets to the heart of it all. It doesn't say that your pain isn't real. It just says that it's not you. That's the knife that gets through the veil. In Buddhism, there is a word called anatta. This word means not self. It teaches that there is no set self that doesn't change, just the steps, just short-lived thought states. It's possible for thoughts, feelings, and personalities to come and go. People forget about anatta as soon as they say, "I am this pain." They use the process as a jail. Things have never stayed the same, not even thoughts or feelings, not even the worst sadness, no treachery, not even the worst kind. It feels fixed when you cling to it, though, like a mark instead of a storm that goes by. Why do people keep adding fuel to the fire? It's sometimes because the pain is the only thing that connects them to something important. It makes them feel like they're losing someone they loved if they let it go, or the justice they never got, or the life they were told they would have. But that person is not the pain. The pain is not fair. The dream is not the pain. It's just the noise. I echo, but I am not reality. It's just memories happening over and over again. When the eating stops, the healing starts. When the pain doesn't happen again. When people no longer believe the story to be true. When feelings are let come up and go away without being shaped into a house. But force doesn't make that happen. It takes place by seeing, by hearing the mind say, "They hurt me," and realizing, that's it. Needs more wood for the fire. There's no need to fight the fire. Stop giving it food. The mind does something else sneaky. Who will I be if I let this go? It asks. Because letting go of hurt feels like death after holding on to it for a long time, as if a part of yourself were being buried. It is, in a way, but that's how growth feels, like being sad about the old you that you couldn't let go of. Something new can start there, not because you made them heal, but because you stopped relating to the things that made you feel bad. Monks don't just say positive things all day. Their minds don't tell them they're better. They look around. They look. They let go. Because Buddhist practice isn't about making the mind better, it's about getting to know it. Seeing how thoughts come up, how pain tries to hold on, and how identity tries to fix itself on whatever feels strongest. And by just watching it, without judging it or fighting it, it loses its hold. The fire doesn't go out. Stop giving it matches, please. You can see better when you are still. Not just the pain, but also the desire that's there. The need to be seen as good. The need to be known. The strong desire to never feel that way again. And the holding is that desire. Buddhism does not tell people to not feel. It tells you not to want things. You shouldn't want things to be different than they are. Because pain starts with that need, with the clash between what is and what should be. The fire is quiet sometimes. It's on fire. It hides behind fake smiles. Sarcasm, having to be right, or being in charge are all signs of it. It hurts still, though, still not processed, still bound to an old self that says, "This armor is the only way to keep me safe." But armor rusts. It gets heavy. what it was protecting starts to hurt more than it was protecting. You're not your pain. You're not your story. You are what makes it possible. Also, knowledge doesn't get hurt. Getting caught in a trap can happen even when you let go. I'm the person who has let go. This is because the ego just changes its name. So, Buddhist lessons always come back to the same idea: not having anything. It's not the same as sadness. Freedom in being empty. An empty place where identity doesn't stick around, where pain just blows right through, not because you stopped it, but because it has nowhere to stick. It's a Buddhist practice to take notes. You just write down a thought or feeling as it comes up. You don't add a story to pain, anger, or grief. You don't go after it. It's not what makes you who you are. You see it, write it down, and then let it go. They come and go like clouds in a big sky, but the sky never changes. That's you, being aware. Clouds, and when the mind screams, "But I was wronged," you can say, "Yes, but that was back then, and this is now." Going back to now kills the fire every time. There is less fire when you sit still and watch without feeding. There'll be just ash one day. Even the ash is blown away. It's not weak to let go. Being strong is the only thing that can be done. Not because they don't care, but because they finally understand that carrying it isn't a good thing to do. It's just not needed. You were never supposed to take care of the fire. Allow it to leave. Let it get cold. Let light fill the place that was once filled with smoke. The character that is made of pain doesn't need your support. It wants you to forgive it because it doesn't deserve it. But since you do, take a deep breath. That old story doesn't weigh down the first one you took. Try not adding to the fire. Feel that way more. As the smoke clears and the weight of your pain-shaped identity starts to lift, something else starts to come to the surface. It's silent, but just as dangerous. The words, the ones that were yelled, the ones that were whispered, and the ones that were said over and over again in your mind until they became scars. Speech often stays with us long after the pain has gone away, like the way a room smells when there's no fire in it. What was said or heard can last longer than what was done. It's now time to talk about that waste. Words are more than just sounds. They are energy with points that shoot out. They don't go away once they're freed. They stick with you in memory, change the way you think, and change who you are. Every word, every complaint whispered in the ear, and every sarcastic comment has a vibration. If you don't look into it, that vibration turns into internal noise, a low hum that makes you feel uneasy even when it's quiet. A lot of people forget that talking is an action, and everything you do has karma. Buddhism makes this very clear. Speech is not neutral. It either helps or hurts. There's no middle ground. One of the most important parts of the Noble Eightfold Path is right speech. Not because it's nice, but because words change the world. They make brains stronger. They hurt hearts. They hurt people's sense of self-worth and break up relationships. If you put one line in the wrong place, it can hurt you for life. Some of the worst words aren't the ones that are yelled, but the ones that you keep saying to yourself over and over again. People take harmful speech around with them like dust on old furniture. They don't even notice it's there. Criticism that was said many years ago is still heard. Someone's heart still holds gossip that was said without thinking, which breaks trust. Insults hidden in jokes, shame passed off as advice, and judgments posed as care. It all builds up, in you as well as other people. Because when you say something bad, the echo changes not only the person listening, but also the person who is saying it. It turns into a mirror of negativity that you finally look at yourself in. And it's not just what you say out loud. Self-talk is also powerful. It's important how you talk to yourself. If your inner voice is mean, doubtful, or funny, then that voice will tell you stories about your life. It says something about everything. It tells you things about yourself. You start to believe it little by little. These statements are not true. I'm not good enough. No one listens to me, and I always mess things up. They're scripts. They can be changed, but only after they are seen for what they are, false, passed down, and adopted. Mindful silence is more than just being quiet. It's a way to clean out your mind. It's about stopping the drug from leaving the tongue. There is a risk for every word that isn't spoken in understanding. That's the reason why Buddhist monks don't talk much. Not because they don't have anything to say, but because they know how important it is to say it. They understand that sloppy speech is like putting a drop of ink in clear water. It stains everything. Right speech is more than just being nice. It makes sense. It asks, is this real? Do you need it? Does it help? It stays inside if it doesn't make it through all three gates. But even then, it's said with care. Not to win, not to be in charge, not to hurt, but to connect. And that kind of speech gets rid of the dirt. It fixes things. It gets better. You can't take back words that have hurt someone, so how do you let go of them? In the beginning, by recognizing them, not trying to avoid or defend, just being honest with them. That's what I said. It hurt. Seeing that is the first part of becoming pure. That's when they promise to speak in a way that builds, not breaks. Speech is a tool, and tools can either break or fix things, not because of guilt, but because speech is a tool. Another evil that no one sees is gossip. It doesn't seem harmful. Sometimes it's even fun. Even if you don't say anything, every bit of talk is a karmic seed. It makes things separate. It teaches the mind to see flaws instead of beauty. It makes judgment seem normal. And what's worse is that it makes people judge you too. You take in what you spread. In other words, talk leaves a mark even when it seems good. You can't trust, love, or feel at peace when you look at the world through dirty glasses. Criticism that you hold inside is its own cage. This voice might not be yours. It could be your parents, teachers, or ex-partners, but it talks through you like it does. Buddhism says that your thoughts are not real. Those are clouds. They get through. But if you believe every bad thought, you'll drown in the storm before you understand it wasn't cloudy at all. Being aware is key. Think about it. Give it a name. Let it go, over and over, until the voice inside quiets down, until it talks not in attack, but in care. Forgetting what was said doesn't mean letting go of hurtful speech. It means not letting those words change you. That is, don't hold the knife by the blade. Someone doesn't have to be there for the harm to happen if they insulted you and you think about it every day. They don't have to do their job, but you can stop. Now. Not by acting like it didn't hurt, but by not letting it go. You regain power every time you choose to let go of a thought, stop replaying it, or breathe instead of speaking. Harmful speech is also stored in the body. You can feel it, in the stress of the jaw, in the throat that feels tight, being antsy in the chest after a fight. Long after they're said, words that are mean, angry, or hurtful send shockwaves through the body. That's why being quiet helps. Not the silence of avoiding, but the silence of being there. Being quiet means that you listen carefully before you speak. The stillness that can hear what's not said. The place for truth to come up on its own without being forced through silence. Learning how to pause is another part of right speech. There isn't always a need to say something. The place where freedom lives is in the silence between feeling and responding. You have the chance to break the chain of bad luck in that space, that breath, to stop the chain of reactions, to pick peace over winning, and every time you take that breath, your mind changes so that you speak from knowledge instead of pain. You should think about the people who have hurt you the most. Think about this. They were probably hurting too. Their words were probably coming from pain they hadn't dealt with. What they said wasn't about you, it was about them. Knowing that doesn't make it okay, but it helps you let go of it, because you don't wear hurtful speech like armor when you stop taking it personally. It's also legal to forgive someone, even if you never say it out loud. The choice inside to stop wearing someone else's words like a badge, to stop basing who you are on what someone said when they didn't know any better. Forgiving someone doesn't mean that what they said was okay. It means you're done putting up with the pain of it. A Tibetan proverb says, "Speak only if it makes the silence better." That's the rule. It's not worth saying if it doesn't bring peace, truth, or kindness. And if it has already been said and hurt someone, it is now your job to clean it up by being still, with better words, by learning how to be restrained, not to be quiet, but to be free. What about people who say bad things about you now, whose words are still in your head, trying to make you feel less important? In this case, Buddhism offers safety through limits, not through attack. You don't have to listen to harmful words. Take a step back. You can change things. You can keep the peace like holy ground. Since it is, the place inside you is a temple. Not everyone can talk there. You clean up your reputation when you clean up your speech. You can't spread pain when you stop talking about it. You can be wise when you don't try to be right, clever, or strong with your words. You begin to hear the clear, quiet voice that is beneath all of this. The sound that doesn't say too much, not more and not less. Soft speech has a great beauty. Words that don't hurt anyone. The kind of talks that don't hurt. Truths that begin with and end with and. And something happens when you talk that way to yourself and to other people. The dust starts to go away. No longer do you feel tired after talking. You don't think about fights over and over again. You talk and then rest. There's no need to fix anything. There is nothing to defend. The truth told in a simple way, just peace, said very clearly. So, here's the call. Don't repeat old words. Stop adding your voice to the bad noise. Don't say anything. Just be quiet. Right speech should guide you. Beginning now, let every word be a gift, not only to other people, but also to the part of you that is finally beginning to heal. The remains won't last forever. You can always find quiet. The next word you say could be the start of something good. Take a deep breath. So even after you've healed the wounds that words, your own and others, have caused and learned to sit in silence that doesn't repeat pain, there's still something else that remains, quietly, just below the surface of awareness. It's not new noise, it's old noise, times that are over but not really gone. Though the conversation is over, the people still talk. Pain that has already happened and will keep happening. It's no longer the moment that hurts, it's the thought of it. This is where the second line hits. 2 arrows are talked about in Buddhist lessons. The pain itself is shown by the first line. When life throws something at you, it hurts. That thing could be failure, loss, rejection, or betrayal. These are real, and no one is safe. What about the second arrow? That's the one we shoot. The memory of what took place, the mental playthrough, the painful flashback, our thoughts about it after the event have passed. That's the shot that keeps hitting and hurting. Memory doesn't just bring back memories, it makes new ones. The body reacts the same way. My heart beats fast. It hurts in the stomach. The air gets shorter, like it's going to happen again. It's not, though. It's just an idea, just facts. It was just an echo. Still, how many lives are quietly controlled by it? How many decisions, relationships, and identities are still shaped by things that aren't real? Memory is very powerful. It doesn't need permission. It shows up unexpectedly. A smell, a sound, a place, or a word can sometimes set it off. It doesn't just knock when it comes. It barges in. It brings everything from the past with it. And if no one is aware of it, it takes over. The past comes back to us now. The old pain becomes who you are now. Before you know it, you're having a fight with ghosts. This is why Buddhism teaches people to be aware, to know what the second sign means as it comes in, to say, this is memory. Seeing that breaks the spell. This is not now. But most people don't think about it. They stay in the mind like they can't leave. They cry because they can't have the talk they want. They long for justice that never came. They punish themselves for things they did wrong and can't take back. The mind turns into a courtroom where there is no way out. Things that can't be tried again are put on trial over and over again. Even worse, the mind changes memories. It gets warped. It makes sense. It changes the meaning. A calm moment turns into a lie. A mistake turns into an identity. People live in fear for years after a single death. Plus, it seems more real the more you say it. It has more power when it feels more real. That's why Buddhist lessons stress living in the present. Not because the past doesn't matter, but because it doesn't have any power if no one pays attention to it. Remember things only when you feed them, when feelings are mixed in with it, when the mind gives it a sense of identity. But memory can be seen as just another thought if you know how to look at it. It can go up and down like a wave without squeezing you. It's not meant to stop remembering, it's meant to change how you relate to it. Think of it as seeing a show. You don't get the screen mixed up with you. You don't try to change the result right away. Just look, without a doubt, from a distance, with kindness. Some holy thing takes place in that place. The past is no longer important. The second shot doesn't hit anything. Understand that pain is not just stored in your mind, but also in your body. The body can remember things that the mind has tried to forget. A little stress in the chest, something heavy in the throat, the same kind of tiredness that comes around every year at the same time. These are not pics. They are outward signs of things that happened emotionally. But they can also be dealt with by being aware, not fixed, not fought back, just saw. Oh, here's sadness. This is fear. This is grief. When the body is recognized, it calms down. It gets tighter when it is ignored or fought. Memory wants two things: to be acknowledged and to be let go of. Take note of what happened. Get rid of what is no longer useful. That doesn't mean acting like it didn't happen. After realizing that it did happen, you need to take a step back from the mental weight you gave it. A memory that doesn't stick around is just a lesson. When a memory sticks around, it turns into a loop. Some people carry the things they said in the past like weapons. There are never-ending conversations in the mind. They said this. I should have said that. But none of those conversations are going on right now. Everything is taking place in your mind. They end when you stop watching them, just like any other show. But what about thoughts that wake you up in the middle of the night? The dreams that bring back old pain? The lessons are still useful here. Watch when you wake up. Do not think. Do not hold on. Do not fuel. Allow the feelings to grow. Allow it to hit the ground. Like memories, dreams show how attached we are to things, and when things are still, they lose their power. Naming things is a powerful exercise. Name the memory when it comes up. Regret, grief, and fear separate us. It stops the union. Now you're not in the memory. You're just outside of it. That change from identifying to observing is the most important thing. Poison is turned into data by it, from pain to clarity. Grounding is another method. When the past starts to bother you, come back to the present. What do you hear? How do you feel? What does the feel of your clothes feel like? How loud is it in the room? This brings you back to the body, which is only present in the moment. The thoughts can stray, the body can't. Use it as a base. It's always here, it's always now. Memory pain can happen when a story is left unwritten, not solved. However, not all pain has an end. Not every wound is healed. And Buddhism tells us a very important truth. Peace does not depend on closure. It's up to the release. There's no need to end the story. All you have to do is stop saying it. You don't forget about this. It means you stop living again. The past is still a teacher, but not a house, not a jail. You go, learn, and then come back. The door is always open. You should just leave. What about when the past becomes who you are? These statements, I failed and I was left, are just covers. Pain changed into a person. They're not you, though. It's just a story. You can also write stories, slowly, kindly, being aware of. Stop yourself every time you think, this always happens to me. Look at this. That is memory talking, not real life, not true. It's just an old pain that wants to be heard. Pay attention. Thanks. Let it go. You can be free after you remember things. You can't erase the past, but you can make sure that no one can touch it again unless you pick it up, unless you let it form now. You do not have to, though. The hand that slides the book shut can choose to do so. This is what being aware does. It gives the power back. The play is over. It makes room for peace. Peace is not the lack of memories. That's why. It's not being attached to memories. Yes, that did happen, says the silence. But this is a new time. I don't need to die over things that have already been done. Now, take a deep breath. It should be a line. What was and what is. Between the truth and the story. Between being hurt and being free. If you grab the second arrow, it will only be sharp. Let go now. It's time to end this. Start over with peace. And when the memory comes back, which it will, welcome it like an old friend. Pay attention. Make a face. Send it on its way. After letting go of the past and stopping bleeding from memories that don't fit in the present, all that's left is space. That's not the same thing as being alone, but a space. A rare stillness that most people never experience because they're always moving or responding. This part is something that not many people teach. How to hold that room without filling it. How to sit with it without getting scared. How to let it clean up instead of trying to control it right away. Not by doing more, but by doing nothing. This is where the real change takes place. This is the power of non-reaction to clean you up. That which is still is not inactive. It's not immaturity or lack of care. It's the strongest thing a person can do when their whole body is screaming for them to move. In a world hooked on text messages, instant answers, and emotional triggers, being still is a sign of defiance. It means picking order over chaos. It says, I will not be pulled into the storm. And making that choice over and over again is like therapy. Not just for the mind, but also for the nervous system, the breath, and the whole body of emotions. Unless there is silence, the body can't tell the difference between real danger and emotional noise. When you're not still, your nervous system reacts to every raised eyebrow, every message that wasn't heard, every memory, and every threat that you think you might face. But the body starts to heal itself when you learn to stop, stay quiet instead of yelling, and breathe instead of talking. The system that was always on edge starts to calm down. Cortisol goes down, heart rate slows down, the muscles relax, and finally the body says, "Thank you." In Buddhist lessons, silence and meditation are very important. They are not meant to escape life, but to stop making it even more chaotic. Your body knows it can be safe because of every response you don't make. Every stop is a vote for peace. And that lesson gets through more deeply the more often you pause. Over time, things that used to bother you don't bother you as much. Not because the world changed, but because the amount of noise that bothers you changed. Being still isn't passive. The computer is smart. It's when you feel like arguing but decide not to. It's not because you're weak, but because you don't want to empty the space with words that won't help. This is the breath you take when your pride wants to make a point, but your knowledge says, let it go. That breath is a gate. You enter a new way of being every time you walk through it. In this way, you don't waste energy on things that don't deserve it. Not reacting doesn't mean you don't feel anything. It means you don't let how you feel make you who you are at that time. You don't throw your anger, but it can get worse. You don't freeze when the fear comes up. You don't drown in your sadness. You just watch. If you want to feel something, don't add any extra noise to it. That's how stillness cleans. It lets the top settle so the truth can show through. Stillness acts as a buffer in this way. Thoughts that come from the ego get caught. Thoughts that come from being scared get caught. Things that happen because of old wounds get caught. What goes through is clean, real, and on purpose. Like spring water that has been pushed through rocks. Okay, peaceful, still alive. The mind doesn't want this, though. It tells you being quiet is a sign of weakness, that you'll lose if you don't answer. They will believe they are right if you don't protect yourself. That, however, is just ego dressed up as safety. The truth is that not reacting is power. It's control without being forced. There is no anger in the silence. Being free instead of right is what it means. People may put things on you when you stay still. People might say that you are cold, distant, or uncaring. But your calm isn't for them to like. Your peace is your safe place. It's where you meet yourself before other people tell you what to be. It's where you separate truth from emotion. It's okay if they don't get that, because peace is strong even if you don't understand it. Think about how much damage was done when someone moved too quickly, did not mean what they said, made a choice while angry, broke up with someone out of fear. All of it was powered by moving without stopping. But things might have changed if they had waited a short time. The break is not a hold-up. This is a chance to change the script. Whole lives can change in that one chance. Being still also makes you more aware. When you stop responding, you start to notice things. You understand what is being said. You can feel what the words mean. You can feel the mood in a room. And being aware of this helps you move through life precisely, not a guess, not making a case, just taking note. Over time, that noticing turns into understanding. This kind of knowledge can't be learned from a book. The brain and nerves aren't always set up to be in fight or flight mode. It keeps people there, though, on edge, emotional, and overstimulated. The opposite of wait is stillness. This tells the body, now you can rest. The body trusts it. Tension goes away. Digestion gets better. Sleep gets deeper. Thoughts get slower. From there, you can make real decisions. Not because of pain, not based on habit, but by the light. You can also avoid being influenced by not reacting. If someone can't make you angry, they can't control you. If you don't do anything when a button is pressed, it loses its power. There is no separation here. There is freedom. Clear emotions without having to act. Stillness that calms down chaos by not joining in the dance. But being still takes work. It doesn't show up fully made. It has to be picked over and over, slowed down, in arguments, when you're feeling lonely. To build it up, you have to make small, quiet choices that add up over time. And some days, it will seem impossible. It's all right. This is not a perfect process. It's back. Go back to the break. Bring your attention back to the breath. You don't have to show anything to feel whole. Go back to that part of you. You can still return to stillness even when things go wrong or when you respond. If you step off the road, you won't lose it. If you don't come back, you lose it. Every return is holy. Every stop is a step forward. When you hold the space between your thoughts with awareness, it too becomes clean. Being still also helps you learn how to listen, not just to other people, but also to yourself. That which you seek is already inside you. It can't speak through the noise, though. It needs to be quiet, lots of space. Take a deep breath. It will come when you make room for it. Not loud. Of course, without a doubt. It will be clear because it won't rush. It doesn't get scared. There's no scream. It knows for sure. The voice you forgot you had because you were always talking over it is what quiet brings to the surface. So stop the next time you're about to talk. Take a deep breath the next time you're about to text. Don't act right away the next time. Wait. Allow the moment to last longer. Allow the energy to settle. Let the noise go through. And don't answer until everything is calm, if there is anything left to say. Because most of the time, quiet is what people say. Stillness marks the edge. It's the lack of response that heals. The reason you didn't face the world was because you chose not to let it shake you. What a powerful thing it is to not respond. That's the cleanse. Not flashy, not too loud. Stay steady, just clean. It's just clear enough to see what's real. And after experiencing the power of stillness, after seeing how silence can calm things down and how not reacting gives you back control, there's another layer below the quiet. The stress of having to be right. This urge stays with you even when you're not thinking about anything. It doesn't scream, but it gets tighter. Conversations turn into fights. It changes peace into a plan. You can't let this go, it says in a whisper. They're not right. That's right. And you're no longer still, even though you don't know it. You're holding your breath while you wait to be told what's right. Now we'll talk about the anger that you can't see, that's hiding behind your need to be right. It's not always loud that I need to be right. It dresses itself in quiet pride sometimes. It can be hidden by a nice smile sometimes. It can look like frustration instead of anger sometimes. It does burn, though. It's not just about the facts, it's also about the person. It doesn't feel like a talk when someone doesn't agree with you. It feels like a threat. Because being right is a shadow of being important in our hearts. People wear being right as defense to feel safe in a world that changes all the time. These things are seen as attachment in Buddhism, to ego, not to truth. It was an idea wrapped around a person, not wanting to accept unknown, the fear of being small when you don't know what to do, so the mind gets tighter, the heart shuts down, the voice gets stronger. All of this is based on fear, not the truth. Fear of being thought to be wrong, not wanting to lose power. Fear of giving up the idea that you are in charge. This is why, in Buddhist practice, being humble is not a sign of weakness. It's a way to find freedom. Being humble doesn't always mean you're wrong. It means you don't have to be right all the time. To keep your peace, you don't need someone to agree with you, that you can stand in the midst of a fight without getting burned. We won't give up your peace for anything. Giving up your truth doesn't mean giving up being right. Let go of the fight that's going on around it. It means not having to control, show, or persuade. When you use truth as a tool, it stops being truth and turns into ego. The ego also likes to win. It does not care if it costs peace, relationships, or connections. It only wants to say one thing, but Buddhism wants you to do more than that. To find out why people really want to win. It's pain sometimes. There are old wounds where your voice was not heard. You were told that your thoughts didn't matter a lot of times. Now, every fight feels like going back to that painful time, to make your voice clearer, better, stronger in their beliefs. Not because you love the truth, but because you don't want to erase it. But acting out of fear makes it worse. It doesn't show anything. It makes even more noise. Giving up being right may feel like giving up, but it's actually a sign of strength. Power that doesn't need to be proven. Power that can hear as well as talk. Power that doesn't see disagreement as disrespect, but as something that makes them different. There is space in that gap. There's room for wonder, space to connect. Room to understand that peace is more important than being right. This isn't just a mental idea. It makes sense. Think about the last time you really fought for something you believed in. What did it leave behind? Stress, cutting off. You might even feel bad about it. Being right makes you feel stiff. It doesn't change. It doesn't have air. But being humble, that moves. It does hear. It changes. It says, maybe I don't see the whole picture. When you get to that soft place, you stop trying to be in charge and start letting things become clear. Don't know mind is a Buddhist idea. It's not the same thing as blindness. It's being open. The world is too big, people are too complicated, and the truth is too deep for me to always be sure. And when you live from that place, amazing things happen. You don't have to defend yourself all the time. You don't have to tell your version of the truth at the end of every exchange anymore. You can leave other people alone. Thoughts are fine to have without making them into a fight. This also eases stress in the body. When you try to be right, your body gets tight. The jaw gets tight. The air gets shorter. The shoulders get bigger. In response, that's the pose. But the body softens when the need to be right goes away. The nerve system gets better. The energy turns into being there. Really being sure of yourself means not knowing everything, but not having to show who you are. Even the things you say to yourself change. The ones where you say again what you meant to say, where you think you could show someone they're wrong. These thought fights don't make things better. They make you tired. Those talks stop, though, if you let go of the need to be right. The mind stops talking. The breath gets deeper. You understand that you don't have to win to be whole. You're already there. This change also has an effect on partnerships. The quiet war of correctness breaks up how many connections? Two people, each holding on to the other. Neither is wrong. Both hurt, though. They are both stuck in the idea that agreeing means loving each other. It doesn't, though. Acceptance does that. It shows respect. Being right doesn't make love grow. Being real does. To be real, you have to say when you don't know something. Being honest about when you were wrong. Saying, I don't agree with you, without trying to persuade. Being that honest builds closeness. It makes hearts open. It breaks the loop of being defensive. Because that's where people feel safe, not to be agreed with, but to be seen. Right view in Buddhism is not about having perfect views. It has to do with seeing clearly. For clear seeing, you have to let go of your ego, pride, and fear. It means not pushing the truth to come out, but letting it show itself. And the truth often comes out when no one is trying to win, when there is silence. Giving up on being right is not the same thing as giving up. It makes sense. It means realizing that being calm is more important than being in charge, and no one else has to change for that peace to happen. You only need to give up the need for a scoreboard. You'll still talk. You'll still have thoughts. But you won't have to depend on them to feel good about yourself. You are going to speak softly, being honest, out of interest. You'll talk less and ask questions more. You won't listen to answer, but to understand. And you'll see that the truth you were trying to protect was never in danger. It was fine without defense. It was just short on room. So the next time you feel that urge to correct, interrupt, or show something, pause, feel it, give it a name, take a deep breath, and smile. After that, let it go. Let them say what they want. Let the talk end without a decision being made. Keep the peace. Keep an eye on what happens when everything is fine. Once someone lets go of the need to be right, once they finally understand how the need to prove something can slowly turn into a prison, the question easily changes to what about the people who were wrong? What about the things they did wrong that they still haven't fixed? What about the words that were never said, the sorry that were never said, and the justice that was never done? Here is where the heart gets hard without realizing it. Right here is where anger shows up as fairness. And this is where we meet one of the hardest lies to let go of, the thought that someone still owes you something. You have to pay off that emotional bill before you can move on. A simple story starts it off. You were hurt by someone. They told lies. They left. They did not keep their word. And your heart kept track. It makes sense. The mind makes up balance sheets. What did they give? Who got more? Who should fix it? So you wait to wrap up, to do good. For the call, the letter, and the breakdown that show they finally get it. You carry and wait. Keep their debt in your chest like a stone and hope that one day they'll pay it off. They don't, though. They might not ever do it. Also, here's the harsh truth. You pay interest on their bill every day you wait. Buddhism has a bold answer. No, not inactive, not weak, not about acting like it didn't happen. It's known as forgiving mental debt. It also means you stop asking for money back, not because they earn it, but because you do. Because you care more about your peace than their guilt. Because holding on to anger, no matter how right it is, makes the person who does it sick. It's not okay to behave badly if you want to forgive mental debt. It means taking the hook off, that they should feel bad about what they did, that they need to make things right, that they have to say, "I was wrong," because each day that goes by without hearing those words hurts you again. It lights up every time you see or hear their name or see their face. And the pain comes back, not because of what they did, but because you think they owe you something now. This doesn't mean letting wrongdoing win. It means being aware that karma doesn't happen when you want it to. People who hurt you may move on without getting hurt again, not because they're free, but because life has a way of teaching lessons. There's no need for you to be the one to wake them up. Even more importantly, you shouldn't have to suffer until they wake up. You can let go of the story that says, "I can't heal until they make it right." That story may feel true, but it's a mistake, because it lets someone else handle your peace. Also, life goes by faster the longer you wait. Forgiving them is not a gift for them, it's a choice you make. A choice to let go of holding your heart hostage. When the pain is bad, this is really tough. When the wound made your life different. When you lost time, love, trust, and even your identity. In that case, though, the moral truth stays the same. No one can change the past. It took place already. It doesn't matter what they should do. They can't take back what they haven't done. Will you keep giving them your peace? That's the only question. Even small thoughts can be signs of emotional debt. These thoughts are like contracts that were never signed. They never liked me. They never thanked me. After everything I did for them. Hopes and dreams that never came true. But the energy is still there, like bills in your nervous system that haven't been paid. They add weight every time they come back to the top, not to them. Hello. When you forgive someone, what does it look like? It starts with, "They don't owe me anything now," which doesn't mean they gave enough, but because you've chosen not to wait anymore. We're not spiritually skipping this. It's growing up spiritually. Instead of putting your time, thoughts, and feelings into a deal that will never end, you choose to let it go. But doesn't that let them off the hook, you might ask? No. It frees you from what you were holding on to. They still have bad luck, their trip, their waking up. You shouldn't have to carry the weight of things they haven't been through, though. You never had to carry that weight in the first place. It's also good for your self-respect to forgive mental debt. That's real power. I choose my peace over your apology. My healing will not wait for your awareness. Even if you never feel sorry, I will stop bleeding from the wound, and so on. The kind that doesn't want to get back at someone or be recognized. The quiet kind that goes on with honor. This has more than one level. You might feel like you owe yourself something sometimes. You feel guilty, feeling guilty. The thought that you should have known more, done more, or kept yourself safer. You play back mistakes like they are evidence in court. In that loop, you are both the subject and the judge. But that's also an emotional bill. You can forget about it. You can tell yourself things like, "I did the best I could with what I knew. I don't need to punish myself." Or, "I owe myself love, not shame." By doing these things, you break the cycle of grudges that keep you from being happy. The same rules are true. Don't keep score anymore. Don't hold on to old forms of yourself. Let them go. It's never about making other people feel bad in karma healing. It's about not feeling bad about yourself anymore. Giving up personal debt doesn't get rid of the past. Bring it into the present, but don't drag it there. It keeps you from planning your future around pain from the past. It gives you more time to hold something new. What about the people who really were cruel? Those who didn't even think? But this isn't about them. The mind will say, they don't deserve peace. It's about you. You are the one who is hurting. You are the one who is stuck. You are the one who burns every time you think of their name. They win again and again every time you remember it. Let go, not to make them forgive you, but to free yourself. You're tired, so let go. You need to let go to get your energy back. Give up, because the part of you that wants justice will never be the part that lives in peace. It's not always easy to forgive at first. It might not seem fair, not full, that's strange, but it gets lighter over time. It makes room, and something beautiful takes place there. Peace comes back, not because you made them, but because you made room for it. Ask yourself, Do I want to keep collecting what will never be paid? Whether it's a parent who never told you they were proud of you, a partner who left without answers, or a friend who changed overnight. Or, do I want to be free now? If you have to, say it out loud. If you have to, whisper it. Take a deep breath and say, "They don't owe me anything now." One that is fully in the present. One that doesn't go backwards. The one that moves in where anger used to be. Because after you forget, there's more life waiting for you. It's clear now. Peace is here. There is silence. What's more, you're back to being yourself, not because the past changed, but because you stopped living in it. So with that freedom, let's go on. There's a new peace in your chest once the weight of emotional debt has been lifted, once you've stopped giving your peace to people who never returned the favor. But even though quiet is holy, it shows things. What was hidden under all that anger is starting to come to the surface. It's no longer the pain they caused. It was the voice inside me that told me to keep it. The part that had to feel like it was wronged. This part wanted to be the victim, the judge, and the hero all at the same time. This is where we find the real cause of all our pain, not other people, but ourselves, because we can't let go. Not your real self, the false one, the one that makes a lot of noise. The shadow was made of ego. The ego isn't a bad guy. It's not bad. This way of staying alive has been around too long. It was formed during childhood through jobs and labels, as well as praise and punishment. From now on, it goes through life gathering identities like job titles, views, emotional scars, people who hurt you and who you think you are. But while it does that, it forgets what's under there. It forgets how to be still. It loses its peace, since peace doesn't shout. But ego always does. By making a story out of every event, ego amplifies negative energy. It turns "someone criticized me" into "they disrespected me and I won't forget it." It turns "I failed" into "I am a failure." Ego makes everything about the person. As the pain gets worse, it becomes about who you are. You carry the pain with you everywhere once it takes over you. It's not because it hurts, but because your ego says it's who you are. This is how defensiveness starts. Not because you're weak, but because your ego thinks it is in danger. When someone doesn't agree, the mind gets ready to fight. Not to find the truth, but to keep up the picture it made. This is why it's so easy to judge. When you compare things, the ego grows. The ego feels safe when it thinks it is better than someone else. That safety doesn't last, though. It needs proof all the time, performance all the time, noise all the time. The big lie in Buddhist thought is that the self is set, solid, and important. It looks like smoke, though, the more you look at it. Thoughts for now, moods that pass, preferences based on conditions. You can't hold anything. Still, everything hurts more when ego is taken into account. Every judgment turns into a wound. Every mistake makes you feel bad. Every argument turns into a war. Getting rid of ego is not an attack. There is a cooling. Being aware that you don't need to defend anything about yourself. That being wrong doesn't make you not good enough. That not being seen doesn't mean you can't be seen. That you're complete even if you don't say the last word. Peace comes over when the ego goes away. It's not because the world changed, but because the mind stopped fighting it. Ego also keeps hurts from the past living. The note says, "You were treated badly. They left you. Don't forget it. Don't forgive it." It brings up memories again and again, not to understand, but to stay important. The ego has to hold on to more anger the longer the grudge lasts. It's not the pain that won't go away, it's the self that won't let go of the identity of being hurt. The ego also does this trick. It calls pain depth when it's really just pain. Look at everything I've been through. Look at how badly I'm understood. And the story gets more interesting because it gives things meaning, but it also makes people feel alone. Egos that hold on to pain as proof of their worth don't want to heal. It would rather be the one who endured than the one who is now free. Judgment is another name for it, not just to other people, but also to yourself. The ego is mean. It sets standards that are too high. It punishes faults. It is obsessed with appearance. All of this uses up energy. The bad energy isn't just around you. You make it by criticizing yourself all the time. This voice doesn't help you grow. You're falling behind. You're not doing enough. You should have known better. It stops you from moving. But here's the change. The ego can only stay alive if people believe it. It starts to dissolve as soon as you become aware of it without becoming it. Focus is an important part of meditation, not just being quiet, not responding as you watch the voice of ego grow and fall. There it is again, trying to control, prove, or protect. You name it, it gets less tight. It's not who you are, it's just the way I normally think, and you can change your habits. A lot of Buddhist masters say that the ego is just a ghost that goes away when you look at it. But most people don't, because the ego doesn't want people to see it. It wants to be felt. When you're not aware of it, it grows. That's why being still feels dangerous to the ego. It has nothing to eat when it is still. Not a response. No building a personality. Not any stories. Just being aware. And understanding doesn't grow. It looks on. Getting rid of your ego means getting rid of your need to be in charge. Why do you try to control how people see you? Stop going over what you're going to say. Don't change who you are to look smart, nice, or powerful. You are. There is peace in that being. The ego always reaches, but the true self always rests. This melting isn't about getting rid of who you are. It's about getting rid of the fake layer that makes everything special. You can still feel, pick still care. But you are no longer controlled by the need to be seen, to be right, or to be important. And bad energy is weaker when it doesn't control you. What was once a crime is now just not a big deal. What used to be shame turns into kindness. What used to be excitement is now just silence. Even sadness changes. If you lose something important to you, your ego will tell you that. But your heart will tell you that you were lucky to love at all. They are part of the flow of life for those who are aware. Both are fine, but there is only one way to freedom. We also change our relationships. The ego wants to be liked. It does its job. It stays hidden. But performance isn't needed for a real relationship. It needs to be there. Openness to harm. The choice not to know something, not to shine, to just show up. Love grows stronger when ego goes away. Not the kind of love. People in general, the safe kind that doesn't need to show off. It changes even how you deal with bad things. You fight back when your ego is in charge. You fight, you protect. But the bad things pass through when the self is quiet, like air coming in through a window that's open. Not any hooks, not enough power. It was just moving weather, because you're not responding based on who you are anymore. You're reacting from a place of silence. You make that quiet place your home. A little rough. Not better than everyone else, but not stuck in it. You still feel, you still do things, but nothing stays put. Because the self that used to have a tight grip on everything has let go. You'll still be thinking, still have your own tastes, still need things, but the holding back goes away. The need for speed lessens. You smile when you see the ego rise, not with harsh words, but with love, like an old friend who meant well but made things worse. Thank you for keeping me safe. Now I'm safe, though. You are too. Feel safe all the way through. Not because things are better in the world, but because the war inside has stopped. Take a deep breath. Don't try to force that breath. Not owning anything. Take a deep breath. There's a strange quiet that comes after the ego starts to fall apart. That's when the self stops yelling about how important it is, stops holding on to its wounds, and stops covering pain in identity. But there is often one last word that comes through in the quiet. It is quieter than pride, but louder than anger. They should still pay for what they did, is written on it. This is no longer just about getting even. It's about fair play, about being fair, about wanting to keep things in balance when no one else will. However, what if this desire for fairness and payback is really just another shadow? It's possible that chasing it will only make things worse. Buddhism teaches that the desire for revenge comes from a false belief. Not because being fair is bad, but because being attached to fairness causes more pain than it solves. It's like going after smoke and calling it fire. The mind thinks that getting even with them will make you feel better, that once they hurt like you hurt, the weight will be off your shoulders. The truth is that the weight isn't because of what they did. This is because they think you can't be free until they hurt. The ego is what makes you want to get even. One last chance to feel in charge. When pride or power aren't enough to protect the self, the ego turns to punishment. If I can't fix what went wrong, I'll make them pay, they said. But punishment doesn't make things better. It takes longer to heal. It uses up power. Worst of all, it keeps you connected to what you want to get away from. When you think about what they did and get angry, that's your nerve system responding to a story. You can't be okay until they get what they deserve. That story turns into a cage, not for them. Thanks. Even if they forget or never understand how hurt they made you, they still live in your body, in your mind, and in your nerves. Every time you play the pain again, they win. This kind of clinging is known as grasping in Buddhism. Getting a hold of what should be, trying to grasp at imagined fairness, trying to understand an emotional deal that will never be clear. And it causes pain, just like any other grabbing, because it goes against the truth. And refusing to accept that life happened in an unfair way makes more noise inside. You can use the law or other people to get justice. You can tell the truth. You can keep other people safe. That being said, you are no longer seeking justice when it becomes personal, when it becomes about seeing them fall, cry, and lose. You want to get even, and payback is just hunger dressed up as doing the right thing. Think about how much time you've wasted picturing someone else's failure, practicing the best speech, imagining that karma will finally catch up with them. That play in your head takes away your peace. It burns for hours, days, or even years. The pain doesn't go away during that time. Instead, it gets worse. Because the more you hear about unfair things, the more they become a part of who you are. It is said in Buddhist teachings that wanting payback is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. It's like slowly destroying yourself. It's not that the anger isn't real, it just has nowhere to go. It can't change the past, no matter how right it feels. It can only make the present look bad. Giving up on getting even doesn't mean you have to act like it never happened. It means you're not going to let it define who you are. It means that you decide not to wait for someone else's pain to heal you. It means leaving the emotional battlefield, not because you lost, but because you don't want to keep getting hurt over something they might never feel. In Buddhist practice, this is what it means to truly forgive. Don't forget, not a reason, just letting go of the grip. They might never understand, he said. They might never have to suffer. They might forget about me forever, but I'm not going to give them another minute of my life. That's not a sign of weakness. What a great strength it is, since it breaks the loop. Am I betraying myself if I give up my desire for justice, you may ask? What if the other way around is true? What if the deception is holding on to that desire? What if your safety is more important than their punishment? What if you can't start your future while your heart is still with them? Not getting even doesn't mean you're passive. It means to be clear. Being wise about what needs to be done, not obsessed with it, is what it means. It means taking care of others without hating those who hurt them. That you should pick your own way instead of theirs. Since the truth is out there, justice will be done. But not all the time in the way you want, not always when you want them to be. It can come quietly sometimes, because they felt bad about it, by letting go of their own karma. Or not at all. You don't have to wait for peace, even then, because being fair is not the key to freedom. To forgive is. Giving up the chase gives you back your energy. Stop adding fuel to a fire that makes you feel worse. You should no longer judge your health by how well they fall. The story changes all of a sudden. You are no longer the one who was wronged. You were the one who left. With style, powerful, not having anything to prove. This doesn't just happen once either. Every day they do it. You are aware of the desire to punish every time it comes up. You take deep breaths. You ease up. You ask yourself, is this thought moving me toward or away from peace? The grip gets less tight as you become aware of this. You might feel the anger coming back every once in a while. It's all right. Do not fight it. Don't give it food. Raise it up. Allow it to hit the ground. It can move across the ground like a ghost and not touch you. You should see the shade for what it is instead of chasing it through every room of your life. The person who used to live in your head for free turns into just another thought over time. It's not because they changed, but because you did. You can feel happy again after letting go of your anger, your rest, your being there. Getting rid of anger makes room for things that were hiding behind it. Love. Be creative. Take a break. If you are angry, none of those things can grow. You might never get the ending you want. You can end the game, though. You can really mean it when you say, "This is the end." Not because it was fair, not because everything is over. You no longer want pain over peace, though. The heart doesn't want everyone to be hurt. It just needs to stop being in pain. Let the shadow go away. Let the law do its thing. Trust that life will keep itself in check. You no longer need to be the judge. And after that release, the way is clear. There's a strange feeling that starts to rise once the search for justice is over. Once the sword is put down and the soul stops moving, waiting for payback. Not peace. Not yet. What comes to the surface is raw, very hot, quickly. When quiet isn't enough, it says, "I still feel wronged." When it seems weak to let go, when leaving feels like loss. That anger, which is hot and sharp, is that energy, not as a feeling, but as a shield. In this way, the Buddhist path takes us even deeper. It shows us how angry we really are. When someone is angry, they don't want to be seen for what they are. The quiet side of someone is almost always there behind every explosion. Lack of control, disappointment, openness to harm. But most people don't get angry for long enough to see what's really there. They answer, they talk, they attack, they pose. Plus, anger makes you feel strong because it gives you a rush of energy. On the other hand, it often hides a deep feeling of helplessness. Buddhism doesn't say that anger is bad. They know it's a normal part of being human. But they warn us that anger that isn't dealt with makes pain worse. It's not bad, but because it's not true. It tells you that you're in charge now, but you're really being managed, in charge because of a fear response. Stories that make them think, "I have to protect myself at all costs." A lot of people take their anger around with them like a tool. It works. It shuts other people up. It makes walls. It needs room to grow. But that tool comes with a secret price. Relationships that are strained, trust that is broken, constant tension, and a nervous system that vibrates all the time. Anger can make you look strong, but it often makes you feel empty on the inside, because the fear comes back when the yelling stops. The cycle keeps going. Buddhism says that anger is holding on to the past and the way things should have been. It goes up when hopes are dashed, when power is taken away, or when pride is hurt. At that point, the mind wants to feel something easier than sadness or fear, so it turns to anger. It goes faster. It is easier. That's not true, though. A lot of the time, anger is really just sadness dressed up. Feel sad that things didn't go as planned, that people weren't who they said they were. That sense of safety was broken, that love wasn't given back. But the heart doesn't always feel safe enough to let that sadness out. So it gets harder. And the heat that makes things hard is called anger. Anger shouldn't be pushed down. Instead, you should sit next to it and ask what it's trying to protect. Because anger always sends a message. It keeps knocking until you get the message. The sound of the knock grows. Things are getting worse. The feeling of sadness grows. When you listen, though, you start to heal. When you don't talk about your anger, what does it say? It often says things like, "I'm scared," "I'm hurting," "I feel small," and "I don't know what to do." These words aren't often heard in public, but those are the roots. The fire will keep going even if the roots are not seen. Anger gives you power for a short time, but it never brings peace that lasts. As it separates, people stay away from it. No one wants to go to the fortress that it builds. That fortress makes people feel more alone, because pushing yourself doesn't make you strong. It comes from being there, from being in pain without having to punish other people for it. Self-hatred, shame, and guilt are other ways that anger can show itself. These are just as bad for you. Fear is at the heart of both. The thought that you could have done better, that you were not good enough, that you failed. But Buddhist kindness doesn't pick and choose who it helps. It says that you should treat your anger toward yourself with the same amount of care as your anger toward other people. You're not wrong to feel. You're just not getting what the feeling means. What do you do when you get mad? You stop first, not because you're trying to hide it, but because you're making room for it. That's the place where learning starts. You take deep breaths. You're feeling. You don't say anything. You don't do anything. If the body needs to, you let it shake. You stay. Then you ask, "What is this really about?" You don't answer right away. You didn't answer the question. It could take hours. It could be days. But that silence is where the truth comes out. And the truth is never as bad as the response. It's usually soft. It doesn't want revenge. It wants to understand. Anger also grows from thoughts and stories that keep going around in your head. No one ever wants to use me. I'll never be heard, and so on. Each thought adds fuel to the fire. Thoughts are not facts, though. They look like lines. And when your anger turns into a thought loop, mindfulness puts out the fire. It's yours. It's not that they want to push it away, but that they want to break the dream. Some religions use loving kindness meditation to calm down angry people. It starts with you. May I be happy. May I be safe. Slowly, it spreads to other people as well, even to the person who made you angry. Not because you like it, but because hate makes you more tied down. No matter what form it takes, love can loosen a knot. It's okay to think, "I can't love someone who hurt me." In that case, begin with balance. Start with nothing. First, stop adding to the anger. That's already a start, because you take back your life every time you stop anger's beat. Repetition is how the nerve system learns. If it has been taught to get angry, it will take some time to teach it not to. But every break teaches us something. Every breath is a memory. The habit gets weaker over time. You stop reacting as much. Not as powerful, not as tired, not because you're dull, but because you're smart. Some people think that being angry makes them stronger. But the truth is that being strong means choosing quiet when you want to be crazy. Setting limits without getting angry is the key. It's when you leave without showing anything. That strength isn't loud. Powerful things don't have to be loud. This isn't just about being very angry either. It's also the little things that bother you every day. The lack of violence, giving someone the cold shoulder, the anger inside. These too are chances to get better, to pay attention, making soft, to answer clearly instead of reacting. Anger is like a storm that acts like a shield. But when the wind goes down, what's left is the need to be seen, to feel safe, and to be understood. Take a seat and watch the storm. Do not run away from it. Don't connect with it. Just let it go by. Pay attention to what follows. Once the anger subsides, its tension breaks, and you can see the fear beneath. You are left with something even more important, the duty to deal with what is left. I mean more than just anger. I mean sadness, hurt, tiredness, and confusion as well. Everything. Because, well, feelings don't go away just because you understand them. They live inside the body. They stay in the muscles and nerves in the chest and belly. They stay there unless they're broken down. Now we'll go a step further and look at how Buddhists think about emotional energy. Why you shouldn't store things that should have already been sent through. The body moves slowly, but the mind moves quickly. Emotion is energy, and a lot of that energy floods the body when something painful happens. First, it goes through the brain, where ideas, stories, and meanings are formed. After that, it falls into the body. That energy becomes stuck if it is not used. It turns into tiredness, stress, and heaviness, like spiritual sickness. Things like food, though, need time to break down. Pay attention to them. Being still, room to move. If not, they will rot inside. The way Buddhists deal with mental energy is similar to how our bodies deal with food. When you have an experience, it has both good things for you, like lessons, understanding, and truth, and bad things for you, like fear, reactivity, and illusion. You can take in those poisons if you hurry the process. Body and mind can tell the difference between what's good and bad if you slow down. Mindfulness is the thing that sorts things out. A lot of people swallow their feelings whole. A moment of being turned down is sucked in quickly. People who have been betrayed don't think about it anymore. Some people don't deal with their fears until they become solid in their gut. Buddhism, on the other hand, teaches a different way. Stop, notice, and sit with it. Allow the event to begin. Make it easy to see before you store it. Emotions are not pushed down when awareness is present. They are processed. Emotional constipation is what suppression is. Avoidance is eating too much when you're feeling bad. Reaction is throwing up emotions. However, digestion is the best way to go. You are not denying the feeling. You don't dump it on other people. You also don't worry too much about it. You feel it all, don't judge it, and let it move you. This isn't a figure of speech. Researchers have now found that hiding your emotions has a direct effect on your nervous system and even your immune system. The body takes track of the points. Your body stores the things your mind wouldn't face when you don't deal with your emotions. Buddhist methods, on the other hand, offer regular, gentle, and intentional cleansing, not by controlling them, but by watching them with care. One way is to just sit down and pay attention to where the feeling is in your body. This sadness is a tightness in my chest. This anxiety is a flutter in my stomach. You don't try to fight or fix the feeling. You just stay with it. You breathe into it. When you tell someone you are allowed here, the emotion starts to move. It grows sometimes. It fades sometimes. It changes shape sometimes. Once seen clearly, though, it never stays still. At this point, the emotions are being broken down. Don't judge. There's no story, just feeling, being awake, and breathing. The body starts to break down the feeling, not in a mental way, but in an energy way. You could cry, you could shake, you might feel the waves go up and down. It's all right. That's the end. That is how the system works. Walking meditation is another method, adding movement with awareness to the process. Let the motion of the body support the flow of feeling. As you move, you can say, "This is me letting go." As you breathe, you can say, "This is me making space." Movement can be healing, even more so when the feeling is too big to handle. Sound can also help. Chanting, singing, or even making soft noises can help get rid of feelings that are stuck in the throat and chest. A lot of people carry pain in their voices from things they didn't say or facts they sucked up. Giving your feelings a voice, even if you don't use words, starts the release process. It's not about performance, it's cleaning up. Being aware is important in all of these ways. You stay with the feeling without changing into it. You look at it as a guest, not a boss. You don't rush it, you don't catch it, you let it go through its whole cycle. It takes time, just like food going through the body, and if you try to move it, it either gets stuck or comes out very quickly. But if you believe in the process, peace will come back on its own. Another important thing is mental fasting. Overstimulating the mind clouds mental clarity in the same way that eating too much clogs the system. Too much input, like news, views, and conversations, makes it hard to digest emotions. So stopping using is sometimes the best thing to do. To be quiet and sit. To take a walk outside, so that the system can clean up without any more stories being added. Another way to think is to sleep, but not when you have a lot on your mind. When you wake up tired, it's because your thoughts cleaned up your emotions in a way that you didn't have time to do during the day. You'll sleep better and deeper if you learn to deal with your thoughts while you're awake. When it's not too busy, the method works better. Emotional eating is another important idea. This means giving yourself time to feel before you answer, before you text, before you go on, before you do something. You take a bite of it. You can taste it. Is this real? Is this an estimate? Is this old? That time to chew gives your body a chance to figure out if this is a new emotion or an old one that is coming back to the surface. What you think is sadness today is actually an old feeling that was brought back by a small event years ago. This is why being slow is holy. The mind moves quickly. The slow thought breaks down. You don't have to think too much about every feeling. That is also a trap. Making sense of things before the body has felt them. First, let the body feel. Allow it to go through. After that, find the lesson. That order is important. First, feel. Figure it out later. And sometimes breaking it down shows that there is no purpose. A lot of feelings are just the weather, systems for passing. You don't have to figure out why every cloud is there. All you have to do is wait for the clouds to go away. Yes, that is also emotional knowledge. This habit changes the way you experience life over time. That's not because you don't feel anything. It's because you feel better. Better. More freedom. The feelings come up. You meet them. You break them down. After that, you move on. No leftovers. There is no growth. Nothing but space. And from that place, peace can grow even more. Not pushed, not fake, but earned by doing something most people try to avoid. When you feel a feeling coming on, Treat it like a meal. Take your time and chew it. Enjoy every bite. Take it in with awareness. Do not keep things that are no longer good for you. This is how feeling energy turns into knowledge. You start to understand that what comes next is just as important as what came in when you learn how to truly digest your emotions. This means letting your body break down the energy of sadness, fear, or joy without holding on to the waste. It's possible to process the feeling, but what about the response to it? That's where karma starts. Not as a belief in magic, no, not as a penalty. However, as speed. The energy you use to do things becomes the energy you live in. There is a seed in every action. Each choice you make is a part of the story you're still writing. The karma of reaction shapes your future in this way, one moment at a time. A lot of people get the Buddhist view of karma wrong. It's not cosmic vengeance. It's not a reward from God. There is only one cause and one result. The mind moves. The body comes next. It makes the world react. Every move in that cycle has results, both in the outside world and the inside world. A mean word doesn't just hurt the other person, it also changes you. It leaves behind a film. It makes a habit stronger. It makes it more likely that you'll follow that path again. The same is true for control, for kindness, for silence. They're not just feelings, they're the foundation of the next form of yourself. Every time you respond unconsciously, you reinforce the pattern. It gets easier to be angry. The judge makes decisions faster. The anger starts to happen on its own. Even worse, the more automatic a response is, the less room there is for understanding. Karma isn't just what happens, it's also what keeps happening even when you don't pay attention. There is a change, though, when you can clearly see resistance. You can feel the urge coming on so quickly. It makes your body feel tight in the throat, your chest gets hot, and your fingers start to twitch. It's not truth that you see, but motion. That's the time to decide. There, in the middle of desire and action, you're either repeating old karma or writing it over in that spot. Reactivity is the action of fate. It won't stop just because you say so. When you stop it, it's over. Not with violence, not because of shame, but first a pause, with air, based on observation. When you say, I can see this drive, this is how I feel, and I choose differently. That one moment starts to cut through years of behavior that was not aware. It might not seem thrilling, but in terms of karma, it's everything. Because the way you respond tells people something about who you are. That's not who you are. I always lose my cool. I'm just sensitive, and I don't put up with disrespect. These are habits. And habits become fate when you don't question them. But habits can turn into doors when you become aware of them. Buddhists believe that going through those doors frees you, not from the world, but from your own cycles. This doesn't mean that feelings go away. It means you stop letting your feelings decide what to do. You can be angry even if you don't say anything. You don't have to make other people sad when you're sad. You don't have to chase happiness to feel it. Never again does response hold on. Karma starts to change. Buddhist teachers stress purpose for a reason. The way you do something is just as important as what you do. A sharp word said with love could help someone get better. A kind word that is used to trick someone could hurt them. Karma doesn't pay attention to the words, but to the pattern that lies beneath them. At that frequency, Reaction either makes pain worse or takes it away. You can tell when people talk. Someone says something that makes you angry. It changes your body. It's in your mind to answer. The tone changes, though, if you stop, even for a breath. You might say less. You might not say anything. You could ask a question instead of protecting yourself. That small change turns the current around. Everything changes in the talk. As you see, karma is changing right now. Internally, the same rule holds. When your own thoughts attack you, when that voice says you're not good enough or that everything is going wrong, you can agree, spiral, and start to believe it all. You can also stop. You can look at the thought from above and say, "Ah, old story." What you did or didn't do is a karmic shift, a shift in direction that you can feel in your body. This job is not exciting. It's not exciting. It's not big. It takes a while, one moment at a time. But this is where real change happens. Before you yelled, in the breath you took, you picked silence over sarcasm. In the limits you set, you don't have to punish. Each of those changes into a new pattern thread. Life feels less like reaction and more like answer because of that pattern. You feel lighter when you start living this way. It's not because the world has changed, but because you're not bringing old bad luck into every place. You walk in a different way. You talk in a different way. You think in a different way. The system that was always on edge, always ready to protect, prove, and lash out, is no longer in charge. This changes your relationships too. The way you used to respond will seem strange to people who are used to it. They'll push you and try to get you back into the loop. Things will get better for both of you if you stay strong and let the old version of yourself die without fighting it. They sometimes get softer. They sometimes just disappear. You're free either way. Strange things happen when people are free. No longer do you need to fix the past. You no longer need other people to act in a certain way. Since your peace doesn't depend on what's going on around you anymore, it's only about how long there is between the stimulus and the reaction. That gap becomes your safe place. That doesn't mean you won't respond again. You'll. They go deep into things. You'll see now, though, and the fact that someone noticed is already a break in the chain. There's a flash of light. Things won't change right away, but each breath of awareness is a tool. The structure of old karma starts to fall apart over time. You start to feel the weight lift after a while. You're not touched by everything that happens in the world. You don't have to get caught in the wave to watch it. You're not being dragged, but you can feel the pull. Being numb is not that. Yes, that is skill. So whenever you feel like reacting, stop. Do not die, not to shut down, but to look. Pick out the next part you want to write. As karma isn't a sentence, the speed is up, and progress can change. Every action you take affects the next moment. Each action either makes your life move forward or stops it. It's only normal to be more careful about what you let in and what you let out. But this is where the trap gets tricky. Not all energy that makes you feel good is good. Not every level of strength is clear. People look for a certain kind of energy as if it were holy, but it's not light, it's heat. And that heat that burns without being aware of it is another kind of pain. This is where Buddhist teaching shows the false fire of too much stimulation, obsession, and being too positive all the time. Most people don't think twice about being excited. They're okay with it. They look for it. It tells them something is right. The fast heart, the main idea, the sudden spark of ideas, the thrill of a fresh start with a new person, a new plan, or a new chance. It has life to it, but a blaze does too, chaos does too, and that high energy isn't based in awareness. It's just another reaction, another escape that looks like happiness. Being excited without being aware of it is like a storm trying to be the sun. It moves people too quickly. It controls your nervous system, tells you things it can't keep, and makes you believe that more is better, faster is smarter, and bigger is truer. However, what looks like love could just be fear wearing perfume. What seems like drive could just be fear of being still dressed up as a reason to do something. The middle road is taught in Buddhism, not because extremes hurt all the time, but because they are always unstable. If you don't do anything about it, high energy can turn into an addiction, not to drugs, but to excitement, in order to succeed, to new things, to anything that makes you think all the time. Because there is often pain underneath the joy that no one wants to feel. Being alone, worry. What if this moment isn't enough? Asks in a quiet voice. So the mind looks for a new plan, making a new connection, a new mental high. Each one gives you a rush of energy that looks like growth, but spikes don't grow. They fall, and the nothingness comes back when they crash. Not because there is nothing to do in life, but because the thrill wasn't real, it was rented. It costs money, just like any other debt. This is why some people mix up inspiration and anxiety, how they get haste and clarity mixed up, how they give up peace to try something new. Peace doesn't yell, though. It doesn't try to get your attention. It doesn't take you away from your body. Getting excited often does. It gives you a mental high, but takes your feet off the ground. And energy that isn't grounded crashes in the end, no matter how bright it looks. This is not a call to be boring. It's a call to discernment, to feel the difference between true joy and manic grasping, between being excited inside and chasing things outside. The excitement that comes from being still is clean. It's not louder than your breath. You don't get spun out. It grows slowly, like a quiet fire getting warmer from the inside. When fear makes you excited, it burns too hot, too quickly, and leaves behind ashes. Making too many promises is another form of false fire. In the need to say yes to everything all the time, to make everything right, to be everything. These days, people praise that kind of drive, strive, grind, push. But the Buddha told people not to do anything that was too much, even too much dressed up as good goals. Because having a lot of energy, but not being present, is not virtue. It's self-destruction with a smile. This kind of bad energy is tricky because it seems normal to other people. People who are always on and excited don't get questioned. Who makes the room bright? But if that energy never goes away or is quiet, it's probably fear that's behind it. Fear of being lost. Fear of not getting anything done. Fear of falling into quiet and realizing that nothing outside of yourself can ever make you whole. The spiritual seeker is also fooled by excitement. When you wake up, you feel a rush, with big steps forward, with thoughts. But trying to get those highs turns into another trap. Meditation is not meant to be like a light show. Dharma isn't about doing things. It's also not adrenaline, but understanding. A quiet practice is the real thing. Deep, not moving. Not because it doesn't have any color, but because it doesn't need to prove anything. How can you tell the difference between real happiness and fake fire? By what it leaves behind. Genuine happiness makes room. False fire makes you want more. In real joy, your breath gets deeper. False fire makes it tighter. Real joy sets you down. False fire spreads you out. One opens, the other one blows up, and when the bubble bursts, all that's left is tiredness and confusion. Buddhism tells you to pay attention to your body when you're feeling excited. Do not kill it, but to look into it. Where does the power come from? Is it clean? Is it quiet below the noise? Or does it spin? Feel more alive, or are you just more busy? This question brings you back to the middle, and all energy turns into knowledge from the center. Being still does not mean that there is no energy. It's the place where you can really see the excitement. It's where energy can grow without taking over, where feelings can move around without taking over, where people can be happy without getting greedy. Stillness like that doesn't put out the fire, it makes it stronger. It turns the fire into heat, from flare to fuel. This knowledge also helps when other people bring false fire into your area. When someone's happiness is too much to handle, when they hit you with all their energy. You don't need to match it. You don't have to be dragged into it. You can be present and grounded when you face it. You don't have to judge their center to hold your own. This gives them a place to rest, a picture of how real energy feels, steady, kind, and solid. Most of the time, the best ideas don't come during a creative storm, but later, when the body has had a chance to rest. As soon as the ego stops trying to show. When there is no show, just being there. That's when things become clear. That's when the picture gets clearer. That's when creation helps truth rather than making chaos worse. Life shouldn't be flat because of this. It means that everything should be okay, that your highs don't have to turn into spikes, that your interest doesn't have to become an addiction, that happiness is possible without being sucked into it. You find something rare in that quiet happiness, peace that lasts longer than the mood. Avoiding energy is not the way to move forward. It's in getting good at it, taking it, not letting it get to you, but still following it. Keeping both ends of the energy wave loose while letting it rise and fall. That's what the middle way promises. Rhythm, not dullness or intensity. Take a deep breath. Being there. When you feel excited again, take a moment to calm down. Take note. Find out where it's coming from. Find out where it's taking you. Discover what it hides. Let it go if the replies feel right. Let it go if it makes them feel empty. Because not all heat is good for you. Also, fire doesn't give off all light. You start to notice something softer that is just as destructive once you start to see through the illusion of high energy. You start to understand that not all fire is warmth and not all surges are clarity. It's not the crazy joy that goes off, but the heavy weight of what never left, the mental weight that has been building up in the background, old anger, happy times in the past, fears not spoken, used up guilt, not worked on, not out yet, just put away, kept, keep safe. Of course, What seems like emotional depth is sometimes just emotional hoarding, not smarts, but weight, not understanding, but being stuck. Now we'll talk about the stress that comes from holding on to all of our feelings and how Buddhist detachment teaches the nervous system to let go in a gentle way. The mind naturally wants to hold on to things that are important to it, to remember things that were important, to keep memories, feelings, and stories alive, as if gathering them gives life meaning. But this collection gets crowded very quickly, in the body as well as the mind. Feelings give us life. They move or they stay the same. They start to rot when they don't move, turning happy memories into bad moods and growth moments into long-term identities. Holding on to feelings doesn't always look like pain. At times, it looks like a mirror, like telling stories, the same as emotional intelligence. However, there is fear below, a feeling that if you let go of the emotion, you will lose its value, that you lose some of yourself when you let go of the memory, that if you move on, you lie about how you felt. That's why the feeling stays. Do it again, once more. It's just noise until it's no longer living. Don't mistake Buddhist detachment for inaction. It doesn't numb. Forgetting is not it. It means letting your feelings go through you instead of letting them settle down inside you. To honor what came without trying to hold on to it. It means believing that what's important will stay, even if you don't hold on to it. Like when you breathe, you don't hold your breath to show that it's real. You let go of it so that life can go on. Emotional energy gets saved in the nervous system when it can't move. Things don't loosen up. Breath stays short. Problems with sleep happen. And over time, what was just a feeling turns into a personality. I'm the one who's always been let down. I'm the one who never got over that breakup. And I'm the one who carries deep sadness, are all false identities that come from repeating things over and over again. And talking over and over is a way of hoarding. This holding is caused by stress, a fear that you will lose something if you don't hold on tight. Those thoughts need to be kept safe like artifacts. But Buddhist practice shows a greater truth. Everything that comes into being is temporary, and pain starts when you try to hold on to that changelessness. It's not the feeling itself that hurts, but the fact that you won't let it go. In this way, some people are stuck in feelings from many years ago. It's not because the event is still going on, but because the energy was never let to move. Too many times, the story was told. The feeling came back without being aware of it. What it meant got too heavy to carry. But being detached doesn't mean you have to deny how you feel. It only wants you to see it as temporary, short-term, not yourself. Just because you let go doesn't mean that the event didn't change you. It means that you don't keep going over it. It's not your home. You are not tied to the past when you refuse to let go of things that are no longer useful. Like you don't need to carry around every breath you've ever taken. You don't need to carry around every feeling you've ever felt. Emotional hoarding can hide in a lot of different ways. It's natural to want to remember how something made you feel, but it's also a trick. Because remembering isn't the truth. It's how you see things. And every time you think about an old feeling without realizing it, it changes. It gets louder, sharper, and deeper. It's not that the pain is still there, it's just that the mind and body haven't learned to let it go yet. Buddhist detachment is a different way to look at things. Not to fuse, but to feel. To remember without getting attached again. Not to repeat, but to remember. When you feel emotionally free, it's not that nothing counts, but that you can let everything go. There's no stuck stuff. There is no claim. It comes, it moves, it goes away. Observing your own mental storage is a good thing to do. What do you keep coming back to? What story do you always tell? What makes your heart race, even though it happened a long time ago? Look at the file. Then ask yourself, what am I trying to keep safe? Most of the time, it's not the feeling that's bad, but the personality that came with it. What it meant to you. The proof that it made. It made my sense of self stronger, but that's only for a short time. Even the person you are now is made up of patterns and memories. Also, you start to see yourself in new ways when you let go of mental junk. Not as someone who is hurt, happy, sad, triumphant, but as someone who is present. Ready to go, not burdened. Misunderstanding how to heal is also linked to emotional hoarding. A lot of people think that healing means feeling something over and over again until it goes away. But sometimes repeating the same thing makes the hurt worse. When the energy runs its course and the body no longer needs to hold it, it is truly healed. Most of the time, this doesn't happen through intensity, but through silence, by letting go of. By not following the feeling, I let it rise, peak, and fall away. Some emotions need to be shown, but a lot of them just need to be seen, looked at without judging, breathed into, not eaten, not made dramatic. Okay, just okay. The nervous system does its job when we let it. The power changes. The emotion story is over. You don't have more weight, but you do have more space. This place is not nothing. It makes sense. There's space for new things to happen, new life and new thoughts, and many people don't know what it is at first. When someone hasn't had to carry mental weight for years, they may feel naked. It's all right. The body will change. The mind will start to beat in new ways, and after a while, the space becomes home. Detachment also means not connecting too much with deep feeler stories. Stop getting sensitivity and build-up mixed up. Deeply feeling doesn't mean holding on to everything. To be truly sensitive, you need to learn how to move energy effectively, to fully let go and feel everything, the way waves move through open water. When you live this way, your feelings move through you instead of being stored. There are still highs and lows, but they don't leave any marks. It cleans you up to cry. It goes away when you laugh. You feel scared, but it goes away. There is no hoarding. Nothing is kept longer than it is needed to be. And that beat makes me feel free. So the next time a strong feeling comes up, try to deal with it by being curious. Find out what it wants. Check to see if it still works. Check to see if it's okay to leave. Take a deep breath if it is. If it's not, be gentle with it. Don't grip, though. Do not base your life on it. Nobody should live with you, not a stranger, because your energy isn't meant to be a place to store things. It's supposed to be a river. You start to notice another hidden weight after letting go of the weight of stored feeling and making space by letting old energy move through instead of building up. Someone who lives in your thoughts and not in your muscles or memories. It's not as loud as sadness, but it's just as tiring. It's there in the shower, at night in bed, on long walks, and during short spans of silence. Confrontations were practiced, made-up claims. My mind keeps going back to scenes that either never happened or did happen, but are now played out with better lines, stronger defenses, and sharper comebacks. These are talks between ghosts. They also take away more peace than people know. There is no need to say yes to ghost talks. They come in like old habits and sound like people you know. You give an explanation. You stand up for your side. It was misunderstood, and you clear it up. You say what you meant to. Your body acts like something is happening even though it's not. Heart beating fast. Stress is rising. Thoughts coming together behind tight teeth. But no one is there. It's just you and the memory of a moment you haven't let go of yet. The plan is sneaky. The mind thinks it's getting ready, working on it, getting clear. But what it does is keep you stuck in a past or future that you can't change. It seems like these practiced fights are useful, but they're not. Fighting with a memory won't help you get better. It doesn't bring peace to win a fight that you never stop thinking about. Buddhists teach that holding on to thoughts is the problem, not the thoughts themselves. A story in your head that comes and goes is safe, but it turns into pain when you become one with it and start to explain, defend, or obsess over it. One great example of this is ghost talks. They hurt because they keep happening, not because they happen, because they eat attention. And focus leads to energy. How do they begin? Most of the time, it's because they feel like something is missing. A conversation finished quickly. Someone didn't answer a call. Someone didn't respect a limit. And the part of the mind that wants things to end starts to spin. It tries to make things better by repeating the pain, changing the scene, and picturing one in which you are seen, heard, and accepted. It never comes out, though, because the mind can't make something that can only be present, and ghost talks are made up of nothing but empty space. Seeing these loops without judging them is the first thing that needs to be done to break them, not making fun of yourself for thinking, but noticing the trend. Oh, I'm practicing again. Oh, there's that need to prove. Noticing takes away the need to prove. It wakes them up. As soon as you understand it's not real, it no longer has any power over you. The next step is to become aware of the body. Ghosts talk to each other most of the time in our heads, quickly, in a circle, not connected. That is, go back to feeling. Where is the stress? In what way are you breathing? Could you make your shoulders softer? Feel your feet. When you stay in the body, you come out of fiction. It brings you back to now, and there can be no peace anywhere else right now. Kindness is another very useful thing to use here, because people who have ghost conversations are generally angry, scared, or just want to be understood. You end the fight when you send loving kindness to the person in your mind, not because they deserve it, but because you do. May you be well, you say in your head. May you be at peace. May I be free of this story. These are more than just words. They help with feelings. They change the mood of the moment from one of stress to one of ease. That doesn't mean you agree with what happened. It means you stop letting it decide what you think. You need to stop practicing pain. Don't trade the present for a past that has already hurt you too much. You have to join in for ghost talks to go on. They break down when you stop feeding them. People also get stuck when they say, "I just need to say one more thing." Hope that they'd finally understand if you could just explain it a little better. There are times when acceptance is more important, though. Having faith that they might not ever get it, that they might never be able to do it. And for peace to happen, they don't even have to help. You just have to be ready to let go. Some ghost talks come from making up events, worries about what someone might say, protections against strikes that haven't happened yet. These are caused by stress, the mind trying to manage things that can't be planned for. But Buddhist awareness tells you to face the unknown with curiosity instead of fear. You don't have to get ready for every fight. You only need to be there to know what to do if one comes up. It can help to think about what you're trying to defend with this mental argument. Is it your pride, your sense of what's right, your sense of self-worth? A lot of the time, ghost talks are signs of deeper wounds, a fear of not being seen, to be afraid of not being understood. When people don't show respect for their fears, they use mental defense to try to keep themselves safe. However, making up wins will never heal the pain of not being seen. It can only be done by being there. Writing down what was said can be helpful. Not to live it again, but to let go of it. To take it out of the loop and put it on the page. To look at it from the outside. You can bless it after it's written. Set it on fire. Cut it up. Let your body go so that your mind can follow. The act itself turns into a way to let go. When you're meditating, ghost talks lose all of their power. You don't fight your thoughts when you sit down because they will come. You can see them. There it is again, you say. That loop. And you take a deep breath, over and over. The breath holds you steady. Your house, your way out of the mind's show, not by turning it off, but by not going to the next show. The loops get weaker over time. The urge goes away. The same thought that took over your whole morning is now just a cloud moving by. This is freedom, not because the world changed, but because you stopped believing every voice inside your head. You live in your thoughts, not the people you talk to in your dreams. You also deserve to live somewhere that makes you feel calm, not angry. Don't argue with that, just keep quiet. That brings peace, not practiced anger. So be nice to the ghost chat the next time it comes up. It showed you what hurts, so thank it. After that, don't feed it and go back to your body. Take a deep breath to your life. You're now here. The past doesn't need to be played over and over. The mind stops going over fights that never happened. The ghosts stop talking, and the present moment starts to speak again. Then you start to feel something else that stays with you. Not thought, not remember, but something stronger. A strange tightness in the chest after getting angry with someone. This is how you feel when you're around someone who never smiles. It's not your own worry that's making your jaw tight. It's someone else's. The mental energy of other people seeps into your body. This is the next level, which most people don't notice, not by force, but by taking it in slowly. And if you don't understand this, the lives of other people will shape your energy. Moods change. They move vibrations around. Rage makes the air sharp. Grief makes things move more slowly. Joy makes everything better. This isn't magical. It's just biology, neurology, mirror neurons firing, and sympathetic nerve systems lining up. It doesn't just pass through, though, when this energy isn't met with understanding. It calms down. It settles down inside of you, and over time, it changes how you think, feel, and even see yourself. This is what Buddhist teachings mean when they talk about energy being clogged up. Not bad things, not bad words, just the way someone else's mood sneaks into your field and mixes with your own without you noticing. When the talk is over, you feel down and call that your sadness. When the meeting is over, you feel stressed and think it's your fault. But most of the time, it's not. It's leftovers, echo, emotional junk that you didn't make but forgot to get rid of. The danger isn't just taking on other people's feelings. It's when they get your name wrong. This is how a short-term energetic echo turns into a long-lasting mental trait. I'm just scared, or I'm always tense, but maybe you're not. It's possible that you never learned to tell the difference between what's yours and what other people left behind. This is the start of the practice of energetic purity. Not letting anyone in doesn't mean that. It means keeping true to yourself while being with other people. It means to listen without taking in anything, taking up space without being space itself, being aware of their pain without taking it on yourself. The first tool is the breath, because you own your breath. You can't breathe for anyone else. When you feel the tightness, heaviness, or fog that comes after a tough conversation, take a deep breath. Deep. Take your time. Present. Let it move through your body with one goal in mind: to clear. As you let out a breath, don't ask yourself, "What's wrong with me?" but "What did I pick up that wasn't mine?" The next step is to become aware. Mindfulness sees more than just thinking. It sees energy as well. When someone speaks words of judgment, blame, or sadness, you can feel them in your body. You feel your muscles get tighter, your shoulders lift, and your breath catch. Seeing that is power. It gives you options. Not having to tense up is an option. You don't have to respond, you can anchor. You can also set energetic limits, which are not walls, but filters. Boundaries aren't about fighting other people, they're about coming back to yourself. A simple way to calm down is to put your hand on your heart during or after a tough conversation. Feel the love. Feel the body. Say, "I return to myself," to yourself in silence. This is not woo-woo. It controls the nervous system. It lets your body know you are here. You're safe. You are whole. Energy ripples that are very strong come from relationships where emotions are out of balance. People who complain but don't listen. People who take without giving. People who want you to carry the weight of what they won't face. Over time, these factors make you tired, irritable, and confused. It's not because you're weak, but because you've taken on energy that wasn't yours to hold. Being kind doesn't mean being a sponge. Buddhists are smart to be kind. It gives presence, not giving up oneself. It hears without breaking apart. It's easy to see where duty stops and starts. This clarity stops energetic fusion, which is when your feelings blend in with someone else's. That way, you can still love, support, and care for others without having to carry them. Sometimes, the things you carry aren't even from a certain person. It's the mood of a place as a whole. A meeting room where tensions are high but not spoken. A home where years of unresolved sadness can be seen. A dinner with the family where everything looks good but feels bad. There are also sounds in these places. They will follow you home unless you get rid of them. Water can help you start over. A shower with a plan. Not only clean the body, but also make the field clear. Say in a soft voice, "I let go of what is not mine." Let the water wash over your skin, your breath, and your heart. It's not about magic. It's about relaxing the nervous system. Stillness, one that is reset. It's good to be quiet sometimes, especially after a highly charged social event. Take some time to be by yourself, not to separate, but to start over, to be able to hear your own tone again, to inquire, how do I feel by myself? Often, that question shows you something that wasn't yours to carry in the first place. Body scanning as part of a meditation practice can help here. Move down from the top of the head. Pay attention to where there is stress, heat, or dullness. Take a deep breath into each spot. Kindly ask, "Is this yours?" And let go of the answer if it feels like no. There's no need to explain, just let me know. You get better at telling the difference between empathy and union over time. Empathy means, I feel. Fusion forgets who it is. One makes people compassionate. The other leads to burnout. Once you understand the difference, you won't have to say sorry for keeping your energy safe. Stop thinking that being tired means being kind. Stop calling running out of money a service. Mindfulness in Buddhism takes you back to the heart, not in a theoretical way, but in a real way. It brings you back to the breath, to the place inside the chest where it is still, to the consciousness that didn't feel the feeling, just saw it. And when you know that, all the sounds fade. What's real stays. What was taken comes back. It's sometimes best to not take it on because it shows love. Let them be sad. Let them deal with their anger. They should keep quiet. It's not because you're cold, but because you know you can't handle fate that isn't yours. You can only be kind to them and then come back to your own breath, your own body, peace for yourself. Things change when you do that enough times. You're no longer afraid of having tough talks. Your mood no longer changes with the room. You don't get lost in other people's pain anymore, because you're now firmly in place. You now know what you own and what doesn't. You've gotten your energy back now, not by making walls, but by remembering who you are beneath the noise. Don't ask, "What's wrong with me?" the next time you feel heavy for no reason. Ask yourself, what did I pick up that wasn't mine? Then take a deep breath. After that, go home and be alone. Once you stop taking on other people's pain and start focusing on your own, there's still another voice to face. There's no outside source for this one. It doesn't sound like someone else. It's always there, quiet and the same. It uses easy language, but it does a lot of harm. These aren't nice things to say. You should have done more. You should be happier by now, and you should already know how to handle this. Those are orders. They also don't guide, they hurt. We are now in the world of pressure that comes from inside, when should is really mean. At first, the word doesn't seem dangerous. It sounds like building, like the desire to, like having drive. But when your inner voice talks to you in terms of should, it stops being helpful and starts judging you. Every should makes you feel like who you are, how you feel, and where you stand are not enough. And hearing that message every day is like abusing yourself. Be polite, not seen. It hurts just the same. They believe that pain doesn't come from the world itself, but from fighting against what is. When you say should, you're not following the rules. It's thinking that something went wrong just because it doesn't fit the plot you were given. A lot of the time, you didn't even write that plot. Family, society, the media, school, and years of whispered messages all shaped it. That this is how a good person acts. That's how success looks. This is how that peace must feel. There are more and more shoulds. They soon make a cage. It's not made of steel, but of quiet hopes. Why is this kind of violence so dangerous? Because it looks like things are getting better. People think they're doing the right thing. These thoughts sound like self-care. I should work out more. I should meditate every day. I should be over this by now. But they're really attacks on yourself. It's not love that makes them do it. Compare it to something else. Out of fear. Internalized feedback tells you that you are not okay if you don't meet these unspoken standards. This kind of stress does more than just make you feel bad. It makes the body tighter. Shoulders are round, jaw gets tight, breath gets shorter. The nervous system only knows how to feel stress, not should. And stress that lasts for a long time turns into tiredness. If you're led by should, even spiritual practice can turn into a performance. Meditation turns into another test. Being kind is like an extra record. Another need is for growth. Buddhist practice slowly brings these inner stories to light. It doesn't disagree with them. It looks at them. You start to hear the voice beneath the voice as you watch. The violence lives in the one that says, you're not enough until... Not in what you're doing, but in why you think you need to do it. When you question the should, you start to be free. Who said this? Who gains when I believe this? If I let this go, what will happen? There are times when silence is the answer. It's sometimes sadness. It's sometimes a relief. But there's always room. As soon as you question a should, it stops being true. And when you let go, you find choice. Self-compassion is the cure. Not as a thought in the air, but as a daily practice that you do with your body. If the should voice starts to bother you, don't fight it. Instead, answer it with interest. What in me is scared? What do I really need right now? Often, the word should hides a desire. In order to connect, for your own safety, to rest. The pressure goes down when those needs are met directly. The anger goes away. The should voice will sometimes speak out of shame. This isn't good enough for me, or I shouldn't still be struggling. Buddhism doesn't deny that people battle. It shows up to meet it. In other words, pain is not a sign that you're failing. It's part of the road. You are already good enough. You don't need to earn it. You were always inside it. You can still have plans, but they don't have to become guns. Needing to be different to fit in is not the same thing as wanting to grow. It has a totally different energy. One is kind, the other one is harsh. You can tell the change in your body. When you do something out of kindness, your breath gets deeper. It locks when you act from should. If it turns acceptance into pressure, even the nicest should can become a drag. These sound spiritual. I should forgive them, and I should be thankful. But if they don't touch on how you really feel, they're just more layers of denial. Buddhists learn to connect with what is real. Respect the fact that forgiveness isn't real yet. If being thankful today doesn't feel real, that's okay. The truth isn't always pretty, but it always gets better. You don't have to give up when you let go of should. It means you should stop battling with yourself. It means you change from force to flow, from punishment to being there, from expecting something to noticing it. And with that change, the rage inside stops. Not because you got better, but because you stopped thinking you were broken. It's not about doing less with this change. Getting things done from a different spot. You can still work on it, still care, keep growing. Now, though, it's out of kindness. Now, it's from listening. Now, it's from trust. And that kind of energy doesn't burn you out. It drives you. One way to practice this is to change every should with could or might. Feel the difference. I could meditate. I might rest. Suddenly, there's no rush, only a chance. Just being open. And being open is the first step to real change. Not by force, but by being free. Name the should and let it go is another technique. Note it down, say it out loud. Then take a break. Check to see if it helps you. Breathe if it doesn't. Give it up. Say something like, I choose presence over pressure. The mind learns a new language over time, one that is based on kindness instead of power. You might still have plans, still want to grow. Now you know the difference between trying hard and having to suffer, between wanting to be angry and being angry inside. You can love yourself or try to fix something that wasn't broken. Since you're not a job, you are a person, something, being there. So be nice to the should voice the next time it comes back, which it will. Say, I hear you, but I don't need you right now. Then focus on your breath again. Right now. To the fact that you are enough just the way you are right now. And when the grip of should starts to loosen, when you stop living under the weight of expectations you can't see and start to move from kindness to comparison instead, a deeper silence starts to appear. For many, though, that silence doesn't last long, because there is something even more subtle, invasive, and constant going on just below the shoulds. The supposed presence that sees everything you do, feel, and try not to be. It doesn't speak out loud. It doesn't punish you like the inner judge does, but it looks at you all the time. And in its eyes, life turns into a show. There is an audience in your thoughts, which is the inner spectator. The next part of the talk is about a Buddhist teaching that shows what happens when the crowd is gone. When you feel like you're being watched, a strange pressure builds up. You talk in a different way. Change how you move, even change the way you breathe. But the real question is, what if the stress never goes away? What if the person watching isn't someone else, but a trained version of yourself that is trained to keep an eye on, fix, and tell the story of everything? This isn't crazy talk. It's really just ego. Not ego as pride, but ego as always observing. And in Buddhism, this event has a lot to do with the idea of self. Most people think of themselves as a fixed person who moves through the world. Buddhist practice, on the other hand, shows that the self is really just a bunch of thoughts, memories, and stories that change over time. That illusion is what makes the inner viewer possible. That part of the mind that says, I am doing this, and then takes a step back to look at it and judge it. Something said, "That wasn't good enough. That looked awkward," or "That wasn't the right choice." There was a voice and someone watching. But both the voice and the watcher are thought. Both aren't real. They only seem real because no one has ever questioned them. This is why you might feel like someone is watching you even when you're not there. Why you play back talks even after they're over. Why you might feel bad about something that no one else saw. The watcher doesn't need real people to watch. It just needs attention. Pay attention. Your trust in its power. Not being careful is not the same thing as letting go of this inner audience. It has to do with seeing through the lie that your life needs to be seen in order to be real. That you need to be told about your choices, that you need a reason for how you feel. Being aware that experience doesn't need a storyteller is what it's about. It only needs to be there. Something changes as soon as you stop looking at yourself. You laugh more. You move without stopping as much. You don't change how you feel about things. This isn't carelessness. It's return. Get back to living your life from the inside out, not from the outside in. But the habit of keeping an eye on yourself is strong. It's shaped by society, upbringing, and the way people are praised and punished. Be good. Don't make a fool of yourself. What will people think? These texts teach the mind to split up, a part of doing. There is some judging, putting on a show, but none of it is freedom. Buddhism tells you to look at this process straight on. Notice not only the thoughts themselves when you're meditating, but also the person who is having them. One more person who thinks this is good or this is bad. Think about that question some more. It seems like the more you look, the less you find. The watcher disappears when awareness takes over, since it was never split up. It was just another thought, acting like it was in charge. Letting go of the audience can also help ease shame. Being seen as wrong, whether from the inside or the outside, makes people feel ashamed. When the private observer is gone, however, shame doesn't have a place to shine. Without the look, it can't grow. All that's left is feeling. Just a moment. Take a deep breath. Nothing more to say. There is no judgment on top of that. Everything changes because of this change. Instead of being judged, creativity becomes an outlet. Instead of performance, relationships turn into connections. Even being alone is easier because it's not filled with thoughts about yourself anymore. It's just empty space. It starts to hit you how much energy was used to try to be seen in a certain way. Now that energy is coming back to you. This isn't about never thinking about things. It has to do with figuring out when reflection turns into spying. To be healthy, self-awareness needs to be paired with interest. The critic inside checks in with feedback. One opens, one shuts. One makes things better. The other one makes you unable to move. Go back to the body to work on letting go of the audience. Pay attention to how your breath feels when no one is around. Think about how it changes when you picture a gaze, even if it's quiet. That shift is the message. This is the sign that the watcher has come back. Now that you know this, you can either feed the show or come back to the present moment. You could also ask, who am I trying to please right now? The truth will often surprise you. It's not always a real person. Sometimes it's a person you were in the past. It's sometimes a parent. Society is sometimes to blame. It's not always a clear picture of what the right person would do. It's not as strong when you name it, though. Don't keep living for someone who isn't there. The audience is less important over time. Stop telling yourself stories about your life. Stop making sense of how you feel. You stop basing who you are on how you might look. Experience is what you go back to instead. To take a breath, to make noise, to color, how to feel, and you can only feel at peace when no one is watching you, not even yourself. In Buddhism, this is known as letting go of self-view. It's not that you stop being. You no longer have a set idea of who you are, though. You can flow, change, get up, take a break, without the story of what it means all the time. This is not being cut off from life, it's getting close to it, because you can finally feel what's there when no one is looking. So the next time you feel unsure, scared, embarrassed, or self-conscious, take a moment to breathe. You should ask yourself if you are being watched by the voice inside your head, not by other people. Then ask yourself if that voice is really needed. Then take a deep breath. Then do something anyway. Not for them, not for the judge inside you, but just for now. And when the inner judge lets go, when you're not living your life for an unseen judge, you're left with a sense of space. But something old can come to the surface in that place. Not a sound, not even a thought. A weight. The pain that wasn't felt, the buried fear, the anger that could not settle down. When there is no pressure to look good or get praise, real feelings come out. And this is where a lot of people get stuck again. They think they need to get rid of the bad things in order to be whole. Buddhist advice, on the other hand, says that you don't have to get rid of the darkness to find peace. You have to let it be seen without going against it. Change is a quiet art that this is. It's not repression, not get away, but the magic of acceptance. There is no such thing as bad energy. People who try to ignore, deny, or fix pain before it's fully met are the ones who cause it. Feelings, especially ones that hurt, move things forward. If you give them room, they rise, peak, and pass. But most people fight back when they are in pain. Resistance adds heat. This shouldn't be here. I shouldn't feel this way. It turns a short-term pain into long-term suffering. That pain builds up over time, making the nervous system always tense, alert, and ready for the next blow. Approval is not the same as acceptance. It doesn't mean you agree with what's going on or don't want things to change. It just means letting things be as they are without fighting with them. That means being angry without having to fix it. Letting the sadness go without saying sorry for it. You need to face your fear without numbing it or putting it away. Being accepting is not the same as being passive. It makes sense. Being strong means being able to stay with what hurts for long enough for it to change. This change doesn't happen through control in Buddhist practice. It happens through serenity. Equanimity means having a calm mind, not being flat, not feeling dead, just a steady state, like a calm lake that shows off the sky without getting stuck on the clouds. When you bring this stability to your own mood, something changes. The fear lessens, the fire goes out, the sadness comes out. It's not your goal to stop the storm. You're turning into the place it goes through. You are practicing alchemy every time you become aware of a tough feeling without trying to change it. You are changing reaction into knowledge. You're letting the energy flow freely by letting it be fully felt. That freedom isn't exciting. It's not noisy. The heart becomes less tight. The breath gets deeper. The thing you thought would break you turns out to be an opening. People often get awareness and analysis mixed up, which is a mistake. A lot of people think they're accepting something when they're really just thinking about it all the time. However, acceptance is not a story. It feels good. It means being able to feel without having to explain. It starts with saying what it is without passing judgment. This is fear. This is heaviness in the chest. This is sadness in the eyes. Another trap is trying to add acceptance to your list of things you need to do to get better. I should be able to accept this better. Or, I'm not good at being present, are not acceptance. They are performance. Giving up the idea of being perfect is the first step toward real acceptance. When you tell someone who is hurting, you don't have to leave. Let me stay with you. There is a change in energy when the feeling is no longer seen as a problem to be solved, but as a guest to be hosted. The feeling starts to come out, like a fist that was closed slowly open. There could be tears, with no movement, with air, but it comes from the heart. It goes when it's done. It's not because you pushed it out, but because you let it do what it was meant to do. Some people worry that they will always be in pain if they accept it, but it's not true at all. What you fight stays with you. What you let happen changes. When you push down pain, it gets worse. Pain that is allowed to flow. That flow doesn't take away from what happened. It brings it together. It lets you feel whole, even if you have scars. That's why Buddhist acceptance is so different. It doesn't expect you to be perfect. It likes the mess. And in that way, it finds beauty where no one expected it. There are habits that back this up. This is one, meditation. But not the kind that tries to make everything quiet. The kind that lets everything say what it needs to. Being present with what is. Seeing the waves come and go. Coming back to the breath, not as a way to get away, but as a way to stay put. Even the worst feelings lose their edge at those times, not because they're gone, but because they've been met. A big part of this process is also the body. You can feel things there, not just think about them. When you accept something, you look at your body and ask, where is this being held? The chest, the stomach, or the jaw? Taking deep breaths in those spots, letting them get softer. Putting a gentle hand there might help. These little things help the body and mind work together better. That harmony is what makes it possible to let go. Kindness is what keeps everything together. Self-compassion, to be exact. Acceptance is just another method without it. It becomes healing when you add it. Speaking to yourself in a soft voice, not telling you how to feel differently. However, being kind to the hurting part of yourself, telling them, you can feel this, you're still worthy in this, you don't have to carry it alone. Acceptance can look like doing nothing at times, just lying down, being outside in the sun. I'm just crying. These don't mean you're weak. Those gaps are holy. They help the body deal with things that the mind doesn't fully understand yet. And the chemistry keeps going during those breaks. Giving up doesn't mean forgetting. It means to not fight. Giving up doesn't mean not trying. Giving in to a deeper knowledge is what it means. One that says you don't have to be in charge of all your feelings. It's enough for you to be close to it. And in that connection, you learn that even the worst feelings can teach you something. Fear makes you soft. Getting angry teaches you limits. Being sad makes you more present. When you stop turning them down, they stop being too much for you. They stop being enemies and start being teachers. So pause the next time something heavy, hot, or sharp rises. Don't try to find a way out. Do not think, feel. Take a deep breath. Say its name quietly and sit with it like a friend who is hurting. No help. Don't stress. Just being there. That's where the heat goes away. That's where the power changes. That's where magic lives. There is still one last ember of the past that you have to deal with once you learn how to sit with pain instead of pushing it away and feel the strong energy of negativity melt away. Not because no one has seen it, but because it won't move. It hides behind reasons, memories, and the need to keep oneself safe. It says, "I'm not done yet," and "they don't deserve peace if I haven't received it." This is no longer pain. It's anger, not a sharp cut, but a dull one that lasts, a slow burning ache masked as moral clarity. And now it's time to look at what it really does to the mind, for a long time, and not just mentally, because anger doesn't just make the heart harder. It changes the way time works. It brings back things that should have been left behind and stains the present. And if left unchecked, it begins to age the soul. Angry people get stuck in time loops. It doesn't just remember what happened, it lives through it again. Not in a memory, but in how they felt, in muscle stress, in tales whispered to the self each day. The event may be 10 years old, but the anger feels new. That's the first sign of what it's doing. It's not marking time, it's freezing it. And frozen time means frozen growth. When anger runs the inner world, the past becomes a home instead of a memory. This is why some people feel stuck and don't know why. Even though their lives change, something inside them stays the same. That's because anger is a state of being, not a story. A place in your mind made of hurt, anger, and betrayal. And life seems less open the longer someone stays there. Things are getting worse. It gets cloudy at this point, because anger always draws attention away from the present. Buddhism has a strong lesson here. You can't change the past to be free. You have to let go of the need to carry it around with you. I need them to suffer for me to feel free, resentment says. But Buddhist practice says, their karma is not your responsibility. Your peace is. This isn't an excuse for people to do something wrong. It's all about getting off the hook completely. Because it locks the body in stress, anger speeds up mental age. It lives in the nerve system, even if it's quiet or under control. It keeps the level of cortisol high. It makes you breathe less. It makes the chest tight. Over time, this state of being becomes the norm. Not for what they did, but for what you still have to carry for them. It's the same as drinking sadness every morning to remember what you went through. Some people think that holding on to anger makes the hurt real. They thought that letting go would mean the pain didn't matter. However, letting go does not change what took place. The only thing it does is keep the past from taking over your present. Resentment acts like justice. But what it really does is make you ignore yourself. So the question is, how many more days do you want to make a moment hurt that it already did? Recognizing something is the first step in letting go, calling out the anger without making a scene. This is where I still feel wronged. This is the story that's still heavy. Then think about what you think you'll lose if you let go of this. That is often where the connection stays hidden. People worry that if they don't hold grudges, they'll be easy to target, that they won't remember, that they'll invite more harm. But setting limits doesn't have to be mean. Being strong doesn't mean holding a grudge. By linking your worth to something outside of yourself, resentment slows down time. It says, "I'll be okay when they own up to their mistake," or "I'll feel peace when they say sorry." But if your peace rests on what someone else does, you've given them control of your life. Buddhist practice teaches the opposite. You can get peace back in the present moment by changing how you think, not how they act. Meditation can help, but it won't get rid of the anger. It will just slow down the loop. Because they choose to stay with the feeling, pay attention to where it is in their body and not feed it with stories. Angry people love to hear stories. It gets stronger with each telling, but when the story is taken away, the feeling starts to fade. It's starting to feel like sadness instead of anger. What used to feel like blame now feels like sadness. Not by acting like you're over it, but by seeing what's really under it. That's how the change starts. Pain that hasn't been dealt with bends time. This is why forgiving someone feels like making room. What changes is not the event itself, but how you feel about it. The moment doesn't make it hard to breathe anymore. It no longer sets the tone for the day. It fits into your story, but it's not the main plot. Some grudges go back a long time, born of parents, society, and old ways of doing things. They're not even all yours, but they live inside you and change the way you talk, trust, and sleep. In these situations, letting go means having kindness for both yourself and what they couldn't give. Forgetting is not it. It's not an excuse. That means you choose not to live your life in someone else's unsolved pain. Letting go of anger can be painful, not because it's good, but because it's been there for me. A pain that you know, a wall to protect. You might feel lost at first when you let go, hollow, but that hole is getting better. There's room for something new in that hole. Because of anger, false dates are made. It says, "I can't move forward because they did that." But your schedule is unique. That person doesn't have to let you grow. To close the loop, you don't need their words. Right now, you can decide not to let past hurts shape who you are now. This doesn't mean acting like everything is okay. It means that you are no longer letting the past affect how you feel. It means going about your day without talking about past betrayals. When the memory comes up, you have to notice it and say, "I see you. You're no longer in charge." This is a subtle technique. It doesn't come out with strong thoughts. After years of stress, it shows in the way your shoulders drop, how you don't jump when their name comes up anymore, how your voice doesn't get rough when you talk about what happened. That's the sign. That's freedom coming back. Letting go of anger doesn't mean the relationship will last. It ends sometimes. It stays far away sometimes. The energy does not now poison your timeline, though. A cut on your body stops making you age. Don't dream about it over and over again. You begin to breathe as if the moment were yours again. If you feel angry, take a moment to calm down. Pay attention to the loop it wants you to go through. Do not fight it. Do not follow. Focus on the breath again, in terms of feeling. What am I giving up by letting this go? Then pay attention. You might hear nothing. You might hear fear. You'll also hear something else, though, relief. And you might feel a strange stillness once your anger starts to fade. Once the poison of long-held hatred stops running through your mind like an old clock that never resets. But something else starts to show itself under all that silence. This time there was no wound, not a thought, an outline. To understand that the mind can still suffer even when there is no new pain. It goes around and around. It happens again. It plays over and over again. Feelings, ideas, and assumptions, like a broken record that doesn't need a reason to keep going. The past is no longer hurting you. It's your own thoughts coming back to you. It's time to face the truth that most of the pain we feel right now doesn't come from what's happening, but from what keeps happening. Hello, and welcome to the emotional echo chamber. The mind often turns short-term pain into noise that lasts forever. It doesn't want to hurt, it wants to be in charge. It thinks that by doing what hurts again, it can get ready for the future or stop it from happening again. But what it really does is keep the heart going around and around. One fear turns into a steady hum in the background. A moment of unsureness turns into hours of harsh criticism of yourself. A short attack is remembered over and over again, louder than it was in real life. This trend is made clear in Buddhist teachings. A lot of people say that suffering is not pain, but holding on to pain. Because people cling, emotional echo chambers take shape. Your thoughts keep coming back because you keep giving them attention. Identity is always linked to feelings, so they stay alive. The loop keeps going, not because the world is mean, but because the inner voice won't stop. Often, these loops start as a way to protect yourself. A story about deception can be used as a warning. A story about failing can inspire others. But the circle stops being useful over time. It stops keeping people safe and starts locking them up. It lies to you so often that you stop doubting it. These statements are not true. I'm not safe. I'm not enough, and I'll never change. They sound like echoes, and the sounds stop echoing as soon as you stop screaming into the same cave. You don't have to win the fight in your head to break the loop. Don't have it anymore, not by force. No, not by distracting, but by being aware. Thoughts lose their power as soon as you see them as loops instead of facts. Oh, here we go again. That's the story. No need to fix it. See it for yourself. Seeing is the first step toward being quiet. Feelings, not just thoughts, are a big part of why loops are so strong. The mind doesn't just remember what happened, but also how something made you feel. That's why the feeling comes back with the thought. This makes a loop of feedback. Thoughts make feelings happen. Thought is strengthened by feeling. It keeps going around. This loop is broken by Buddhist practices, not by denying feeling, but by separating it from story. Your first tool is your breath. Thoughts are quick. Feelings ride on them. But breathing is slow. It keeps you grounded. It throws off the rhythm. It's not a big deal, but a deep breath in and a long breath out changes everything. We are not in danger, it tells the body. It gives the mind something new to follow, something that doesn't hurt, something that doesn't loop. Labeling is another way to do it. Thinking, judging, and remembering are all words that move you out of the loop. You stop taking part and become a watcher. In a cold way, this is not detachment. It makes sense. The sound is no longer inside you. You can hear it from the outside. From the outside, it doesn't make as much sense. The loop isn't always words. Sometimes it's mood, a fog that comes down from nowhere. Ask yourself, what am I repeating without realizing it? You might find that it's not a single thought, but a low-level hum of discontent. There is a habit of fighting what is here. Resistance is also a loop. This isn't right. I need to feel better, and why is this still here? These thoughts don't get rid of pain, they just keep it going. Buddhism says that the way out is serenity, not control. Allow the storm to happen. Run the loop. Don't join it, though. Do not follow. Just take a seat. Look. Take deep breaths. Every loop gets old after a while if no one is responding to it. Lack of space is one of the most common reasons why people get stuck in emotional loops. It's too much information, too many points of view, not enough peace and quiet. Minds that are overstimulated don't think, they just react. The place where circling lives is in reaction. Because of this, silence is not a nice to have, it's a must. No music, no scrolling, and no changing during this time. Just sitting, going for a walk, becoming. That's when the mind starts to clear. The loop starts to fade at that point. Also, there's a strange comfort in pain that you know well. Some people stay in loops since they already know them. They've been in those thoughts for so long that they feel like home. Buddhism, on the other hand, asks, is it real peace or just old pain? If the second one is true, are you ready to let go of it? Not because it's wrong, but because you deserve to feel something else. Interrupting does not mean being mean. You don't have to fight your thoughts. Kindly put something else in the middle. Mantra. Something. A heartfelt touch. What is really going on right now? That one question often takes away 100 made-up threats, because loops are always about what could have been or what did happen. They are never present in the present. This will make you feel more free the more you do it. Not because your thoughts are gone, but because they don't make you who you are. You don't have to become them to walk with them. You can keep going even though you hear the echo. That's not denying it. Now that's skill. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is not try to be upbeat, but just refuse to say something negative again. Picking to be quiet, deciding to pause, going with the breath instead of the storm. So don't fight the loop the next time it starts. Do not go after it. Stop right now. Pay attention. A label. Take deep breaths. Say, I hear you. I no longer have to follow you, though. As the loops slow down, the repeated pain stops being so loud, and the mental storm starts to calm down. You start to feel like there is something more going on. Not very strong, lost in the noise. A quiet word in the middle of all the noise. the thought comes up that the pain might not have been the enemy. It could have been a teacher. But how do you teach without having to carry the weight? How can you learn from pain without listening to its music over and over again? The Buddhist way of seeing things comes in here. To separate pain from what it left behind, not to get rid of it. There is a difference between things that hurt and things that hurt us over and over again. Now, it's time to fine-tune that difference, to separate the information from the noise. Pain is trying to tell you something. That's the point of it. We learn not to touch the fire by feeling pain. Emotional pain is a sign of what has been lost, broken, or out of place. The mind, on the other hand, tends to keep going off even after the fire is out. The smoke is carried by it. It keeps the ashes for itself, and that leftover stuff turns into confusion. Am I still in danger? Am I still broken? But Buddhist advice tells you to stop and think again. What if the lesson was already given? You were just carrying the box. There are two parts to every painful moment: the feeling itself and the story that is told around it. The sound and the event. The accident and how it was interpreted. How smart and heavy it is. You carry both, though, unless you take a moment to carefully sort through what's left. Because of this, some people carry the weight of past events for years after they happen. So the rule is to not just ask, "What is this?" when pain comes on, but also, "What's good about this?" and "What can be left behind?" That is the filter. That's how Buddhist understanding teaches you to get better at. Being aware doesn't mean analyzing. It means observing without attaching. The sharpness of the feeling was felt, but the story that went with it wasn't reinforced. Let's say someone lied to you. There is pain in the deception itself. That is the sign. It lets you know that something went wrong and needs to be fixed or let go of. The noise, though, is the thought, "I can never trust again." It's the leftovers. A belief has been made out of pain that no longer makes sense, and that idea doesn't keep you safe. It holds you back. It changes a lesson into a rule. Signal says, "That hurt." Noise replies, "That's who I am now." Signal says, "I need to heal." Noise replies, "I'll always be broken." Someone points to the wound so it can heal. When the memory is touched, the other one opens it again. You can't move around easily if you don't learn to keep them apart. Because the lessons seem to come with a lot of baggage, you start to fear them. The lesson doesn't need the weight, though. You don't have to live in smoke to learn from fire. The cut won't stay with you forever if you don't wear the bandage. Buddhist beliefs don't tell you to hide your pain. They tell you to see it. Not close to it, not away from it, through it. Because pain that can be seen starts to get less intense. Pain that is honored but not worshipped starts to change. This is why being still is holy. It lets you see the layers. This helps you figure out which thoughts are tense and which are true. Even when it's hard, the truth is clear. It starts up. Noise gets quieter. It makes the chest tight. It does it again. It makes things unclear. If you let it, your body will often tell you which is which when you feel them both. One more part of this exercise is to wait for the insight. The mind needs a fresh lesson to remember, a great saying. But some kinds of pain don't go away in simple ways. Silence can be a lesson sometimes. Sometimes it's being soft. There are times when just knowing that you made it through is enough. It's not always that the signal shouts. It will say, "You made it." But if you're too busy trying to figure out what it means, you might miss the message. You could also fall into the trap of becoming too attached to your healing process, making every hurt you've been through a part of who you are. But getting better doesn't mean becoming friends with your pain. That you know it came, taught, and then left. You can change and grow without always having to show how far you've come. The past can change you, but it doesn't have to own you. Note-taking is a powerful Buddhist practice. You look at a feeling and say, "This is sadness," or "This is grief." Not, "This is my sadness," or "This is me being broken," but just, "This is sadness," which breaks the identification. It keeps the wave away from the shore. There is no signal to noise, so you can see the signal. Something starts to happen when you sit with your pain like this. It stops being too much. You start to feel its shape and beat. It has sides, as you can see, that it goes up and down. And between the waves is where you can find the clarity that was there all along. One more important thing to remember is that pain gets worse when it's hidden, when it's not seen, heard, or understood. This is why writing in a book, talking to someone you trust, or even just telling yourself the truth can help you feel better. It lowers the noise. It helps the lesson stick out. You don't have to say it perfectly, just give it some space. You really did feel pain, but the story you keep making up around it might not be. That story is what wears out the heart. Fear of happiness, love, and your own worth are all caused by it. Buddha, on the other hand, says you can stop telling the story. You can just say, "Thank you for what you taught me," and walk away. This isn't about skipping over moral things. It's not about acting like everything is fine or jumping right into being positive. It's about making intelligent, honest decisions. Being able to tell the difference between what the moment gave you and what your mind added later. In between the cut and the talk. There is an echo between the truth and the pain. Some great things happen when you start living this way. Stop being scared of the things that hurt you, because you know you can meet it without turning into it. You don't have to give it a throne to let it talk. Take out the signal, carry it like a pearl, and let the shell fall off. So stop the next time a painful memory comes back to you. Ask it softly, "What do you want to say?" Listen. After that, ask, "What do you mean that I no longer need to hear?" Take a deep breath. Thanks. After that, let go. This is how you get lighter. It's not because things get better, because you stop carrying things that aren't yours anymore. Some amazing things happen once the signal is heard, once the pain is recognized, understood, and split off from the story that tried to keep it alive. You don't have to keep living it over and over again. The lesson is still there, but the pain is going away. There is one more test of freedom, though. Can you leave? Not only physically, but also emotionally. Can you leave someone's story, a bad place to be, or a painful memory without bringing it with you into the next part of your life? It's not about getting away. This is about the easy way out. How to walk away from something without being angry, falling apart, or taking something that doesn't belong to you is a Buddhist path. A lot of the time, leaving is the hardest part. This is what comes next. The mental playthrough, the pull of feeling, the threads that you can't see that make you wonder, check, and feel bad. In a physical sense, you may be gone. You're still mixed up energetically, though. That's what makes a clean breakup into a wound that won't go away. Because you need more than distance to leave a place without its energy following you. You need to choose to do so. That's how most people leave. They either blow up or disappear. They destroy the bridge or go away without a trace. Both may help for a short time, but neither promises freedom. Clear thinking is what leads to freedom, not just taking action, from the choice inside that says, I don't need to carry this with me anymore. Sometimes that choice doesn't feel dramatic. It's quiet most of the time. Breathe and align. A brief moment of truth that tells you, this is the end of the road for me. Buddhists believe that attachment is what causes pain. However, they also teach how to let go of attachment with wisdom instead of anger. It's not about acting like something didn't hurt during a soft leave. It's about not having to wear your pain like a badge. You have to be able to see the pain and the past, but still choose to walk away without letting it affect your future. Find out what you're still hooked on. This is the first step to a soft escape. It might not be love. It could be the need to be right. It is important to understand the dream of fairness, the hope that they'll understand what they did one day. You can't get away from these hooks once the moment is over. To tell you the truth, most people never get the peace they need. Instead, you get the chance to give yourself something better. Peace without being asked. They don't have to explain. They don't have to say sorry. You don't need them to be hurt. They are already living in your nerve system. You just need to decide to get rid of them. Detachment starts there, not by pushing them away, but by separating your identity from theirs, saying, this story is over. I'm giving up this job. I let go of the part of me that needed their approval. It's not always easy to see soft openings. The person might still be there. Work where you are now. You can still walk by the thought. But something has changed in terms of energy. You must stop responding. You don't need a plot anymore. You stop letting their presence change how peaceful you are. It's not cold. That's being independent. That's how you make room for the life that's inside the noise. It's important to forget, but not in the same way that you erase something. As a way to stop giving your attention to something that doesn't help you, you can forgive. It doesn't mean that what happened was fine. In other words, it means you won't keep hearing it in your head. It's not a present for them. You can let go of it. Forgiveness means, I'm done taking care of this wound. It's also important to be compassionate, especially with yourself, because leaving often makes you feel bad, even if the place was dangerous, even if the person was dangerous. Did I do enough, you ask yourself? Should I have stayed? Could I have kept it? That being said, the soft exit recognizes that not all problems need to be fixed. Not everything that hurts needs to be done again. Being kind when you leave is sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself and them. What you bring with you when you leave will affect how you begin the next stage. You will feel angry when you leave if you are angry. If you leave feeling like a victim, that's who you are. There is no reaction when you leave with presence and the truth that this was just a part of your road and not who you are. Then what happens next is a choice. Making traditions about moving can help. Not the exciting ones, simple ones. Writing a letter, but not sending it. Close your eyes and picture your energy coming back to you. Taking a big breath and saying, "This is mine. That belongs to them. I let it go." These small actions hold the exit in place. They let the body know that something is over, and the process of making room for something new starts. Letting go of the need to be remembered properly is another part of the soft exit. A lot of people get stuck here. They want to be in charge of the story, to make sure everyone knows what really happened. Buddhist detachment, on the other hand, says that happiness doesn't come from being understood. It comes from knowing yourself. It's enough that you are clear. It's not necessary for them to match. Allow them to tell their tale. You're writing a new one. Leaving doesn't always mean going away. The part you play may need to change sometimes. The way you sound, how you act. There is no longer strain in your response. The old dance is no longer something you do. You change the picture, and that changes the energy between you, even if the situation doesn't. This needs time and patience. You can't always get a soft exit right away. The hooks might pull, the mind might come back, but the grip gets weaker every time you take a breath and decide not to reconnect. It's not that you should never think about them again. You should no longer feel pain when you think about them. That change is a quiet revolution. When you walk away, you're not giving up anything. You're remembering something that's over. You're understanding that not all endings need to be neat and tidy. That sometimes the peace doesn't come from finishing a line, but from putting down the pen for good. It's not escape to take the soft route. It's not denying it. No, it's not withdrawal. It's a holy way to get back to yourself. Another way to say, I can love from far away. I'm able to forgive and forget. I can end something without getting mad. I can only carry what is mine. Don't wait for the right time. Do it now when the weight gets too heavy or the room gets too small. Do not wait for them to make things simple. Pick yourself. Don't walk away angry or sad. Instead, walk away with the calm breath of someone who knows their peace can't be sold. That's the easy way out. And when you step away from the weight of the past without pulling it with you, when the space ahead feels empty, you start to feel a different kind of exhaustion. Not from big events, not from situations that hurt you, but from a very small thing, something kinder, not noticeable at all. It's a quiet voice that talks all day, about the weather, about your thought, about how someone sounds, getting to the time, how slow it is, the noise. It's not anger, it's not sadness, it's not quite what you think. Something steady. That's a gripe. No one tells you this, but being quiet is one of the worst things you can do for peace. A lot of people think protests need to be loud, that it doesn't count unless you're yelling or raging. Yet the most annoying comments are the ones that are said in a whisper. That kind of breath that changes your whole mood without you even realizing it. They don't make it clear that they are problems. They put on a show of being observations, realistic, or just saying. But on the inside, they drain. And over time, they make a climate of constant unhappiness that seems normal. That's the risk, when your sadness becomes normal, not because of what's happening, but because of how you talk about it. The way Buddhist beliefs deal with this is not by putting you down, but by waking you up. It's not wrong to complain, you're just not aware of it. Often the mind is trying to keep itself safe from pain. It wants power, it wants to get better. It doesn't know how to ask for help or make changes without being pushed back, though. So it makes a fuss, sometimes loudly, sometimes just in your mind. There is a loss of energy either way, a little at a time, but all the time. The problem with small issues is that they can make you feel worse about yourself if you're already unhappy. It's not harmful to think thoughts like, "This isn't enough," "That shouldn't be this way," and "They always do this." These thoughts keep the mind stuck in comparison, resistance, and judgment. They slowly convince you that life is something to be endured rather than enjoyed. And that filter will affect everything once it's set as your default. Even happiness sounds dull. Many people don't even know they're doing this because it's become such a strong habit. It's not always words that are the problem. It's sometimes a sigh, a raised eyebrow, an ache in the shoulders, a pulling away of force, but it all says the same thing: "I don't like this," or "This should be a different moment." And while having preferences is fine, it becomes a problem when those preferences become who you are. When you think, "I am someone who is always upset," that's when complaining changes from a reaction to a way of life. The first key is being aware, not guilt, not a sentence, just taking note. It is gentle but strong to notice things like, "That was a complaint," and "There's resistance here." It gives the feeling and the habit some space. And there is a choice. You are no longer controlled by the complaint. Like a design, you see it for what it is, not a truth. The next step is to look into it. Ask yourself, what do I need right now? Behind every complaint is a wish. Maybe to make things easier, maybe to get noticed, maybe to stay in charge. But if you listen to the problem with interest instead of anger, you start to understand it. And once it's been translated, it can be dealt with in a smart way instead of an angry way. There are times when the need is real. Maybe the world really isn't helpful. There may be lines being crossed, but not all issues need to be dealt with. Some need to be reframed. Is this something I can change, something I can leave, or something I can soften around? Becomes a practice. If it can be changed, do something about it. If it's not, take a deep breath and deal with it. With no movement, with a change in position. These are not reactions that are passive. They are the steps of a mind getting its peace back. There is also an internal level of complaint. The mind is unhappy with itself. I'm too lazy. What did I say? I never do this right. These thoughts aren't as loud as self-hatred, but they hurt more because they are true. There is another way with Buddhist kindness. You shouldn't fight these thoughts or try to replace them with words. Instead, you should meet them like clouds. Oh, that story again. That tightness again. You don't have to answer the problem. You just stop giving it food. People often say that being grateful is the opposite of whining, but it's more than that. Being grateful is a natural result of being present. Because you are fully present in this moment, you can see what is working. The air, the warmth, the shades, the sounds. You don't have to be grateful. It comes up when the issue stops. Being grateful for the way things are takes the place of fighting with them. This doesn't mean acting like you like everything, though. Buddhist presence isn't about putting on a fake smile. It's about honest relationship to what's real. You don't have to reinforce victimhood when you recognize discomfort. It's possible to say, "This hurts," instead of "Life is against me." That's the change. That's where the energy comes back. Not because everything is perfect, but because you no longer fight what is. Some problems run in the family, from the culture, a way of interacting with the world that was learned and copied. This is how we always talk, or we always point out what's wrong, are not your habits. You don't have to carry them over. You don't have to be angry to say, "That's the end of that story," but in a clear way. With air, complaining all the time spreads in a group. It makes the group tired, shared bad feelings. But if someone breaks the routine, it can change the whole room. It's not by teaching, not by putting up, but by being there, by just listening and not sharing the echo, by making us think about what's possible instead of what's wrong. This is not being spiritually better. It's energetic cleanliness. It doesn't want to send any more noise. When people complain, it's often about something very painful, like loss, deception, or unfair treatment. And it's not about letting go too quickly at those times. It's about being aware of the pain while staying awake, but not so much that they become the problem. As you say, "Yes, this hurts. I won't give up on the beauty of this moment either." Being aware of Buddhism encourages you to be open to every problem, to not see it as a flaw, but as something that needs care. A heart message that says, "I'm not comfortable. Help me deal with this in a different way." When you listen with care, the complaint gets less harsh. The energy is no longer flowing. What's left is being clear, peace, a steady mind that doesn't move. So the next time that quiet voice that sighs, rolls its eyes, and complains about something else, stop. Take deep breaths. Do not be rude. Ask, "What's under this?" Listen. It might just need to be still. It might only need to be seen.